Good evening, trainers, and welcome to the European League, hosted by Unity Clash. I'm Spartan Tano, I'm your host, and I'm joined by the incredible Steel Agent Kyle, and Utah is here with us as well. How are we doing, gents? We'll start with you, Kyle.
Doing pretty well. Been a very busy week or so. We have a lot of Pokemon Unite news. We have a new character that has joined the fray, and man, a brand new season. So it's been jam-packed with news, information, patches. I mean, you name it. Unite has been kind of popping off this week.
Yeah, I mean, Utah, how are you doing as well, buddy? We got some nice news about this development letter as well. So how are you doing? And then we'll have a talk around that.
Yeah, it's feeling great. I mean, I saw the letters and it's pretty good for like the future of Unite, and it's pretty exciting. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's the big talking point, isn't it? As well as obviously this league kicking off now. We are here with the week 3 games. There's already been 2 weeks going on, but we had Summer Showdown to get through. There's just so much Pokemon Unite action going on here, and Worlds is of course next month. But you know, talking about that development letter, very exciting news for Pokemon Unite. Groudon coming into the game, being able to take the buff away from people when they hit that final objective is probably the biggest and most exciting change. Kyle, what do you think?
I think, it's definitely the most monumental change that we've had to the map, at least within the last 3 years. I mean, we've been on Thea Sky for 3 years. There's been very minimal changes to the late game objective in Rayquaza. So this should be a pretty big shift. I think I saw a lot of people kind of talking about it. I think thematically with how Thea Sky Ruins is, I think it's weird that Groudon, so I figured that we'd maybe get like an actual map update. But like, how does Groudon get up to that top of that tower? That's what I wanted.
Yeah, definitely not an easy climb. That is my only issue when I was reading it. I was like, these are some really exciting changes. Why do we not have a new map that's themed around Groudon and Kyogre? Like, that's the only thing that doesn't make sense to me. I love the fact that we've got the Zapdos map, we've got the Rayquaza map. It would make more sense to have a new one with Groudon. But Utah, obviously you are a pro player going to the World Championship. So when you look at that kind of information that you've seen in that letter, how does that make you guys feel as competitive players? Were you hoping for a brand new map? Do you want like a rotation of the maps? What was your thoughts?
I think my thoughts is, I agree with Cal. It's kind of weird that Groudon is gonna be like on, like the Skyruin. But I don't know. Maybe they're gonna change the map, but I'm not sure. They're just gonna replace Rayquaza. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting. You know, like it's like you need like to prepare like for like plans, etc. Like it's a new game kind of.
Well, that's it. Either way, it is a positive. Like, we're getting positive changes, and we saw in that letter that they've acknowledged what the fans want, what the players want. So that we can only take massive positives away from that. We just hope that it turns out well. But what we're here for today is the European League, guys. I'm so excited for this. I can't believe we're finally getting to bring you all of this action. For those of you that aren't aware, the European League is 12 weeks of non-stop weekly action that these teams are going to be taking on, and then the top 6 will qualify for the Masters League. Now, we're not going to tell you a bit more about that yet. You'll have to keep a close eye on those socials. But as I say, they've been playing a weekly. 4 games are going to be streamed here on the Saturday streams on Ghatlue's channel. And then on my own channel, we're going to be covering some more of the games throughout the week that don't get on this one. We want to bring you as much action as we possibly can. So keep an eye on Twitter for myself and Unity Clash for those announcements. But what I love about League play, and I can't wait to hear your guys' opinion, is exactly this. You see some ridiculous stuff. People are trying new metas. They're trying Pokemon that we haven't seen. In the 2 weeks that have already gone on, Kyle, we've seen a lot of Cramorant coming out to play with people trying that. And we've seen some different Pokemon that you just do not expect to see in this meta.
I think there are a lot of interesting things that get tested out in more grassroots leagues, just as like maybe we're thinking about the meta wrong. Maybe we just need to try a few different things out, see if they work in competitive play and in a lower stakes environment that's not, a big money tournament or an official circuit. It's kind of nice to be able to test some things out. You said Cramorant. I feel bad that Magical's not here because Magical absolutely loves Cramorant, and I just wish that he would be able to talk about it.
I know. I did let him know when we were covering the Summer Showdown that we saw plenty of Cramorant. He was very excited. So hopefully we get to see him in the coming weeks on these casts, and maybe he can bring out some Cramorant action as well. Utah, for yourself, I mean, obviously, this is why League Play is so fun, because people are trying those different Pokemons, trying to see what works for them. Of course, in the world of Pokemon Unite, some people might look at a Pokemon and be like, it's not good, we shouldn't be using that. But of course, it will come down to the individual player, won't it? Because there will be players out there that are incredible on that Pokemon.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know, like, players can just like test like some stuff extra, and even preparing for like like next year, because like they're not qualifying for Worlds, and they can just like train, like try some stuff, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is especially when we have these patches like we've had announced. I've not had much chance to look through them. I've been a busy bee myself, but I have heard on the grapevine some of these changes coming in. And Kyle, this is it, isn't it? Because sometimes with these patches, we get ridiculous stuff. I have heard that Snorlax is getting buffed. Now, I haven't read it, but I'm thinking, what? Why?
Yeah. It's kind of like a half buff, half nerf. So they nerfed a little bit of the damage to the Pokemon, specifically with that early game tackle, which you saw just be such an incredible tool in path for last hitting or even just disrupting the enemy. And then a little bit of a damage nerf as well on heavy slam. But the buff is what I think is most concerning. Is this Pokemon was almost already un-KOable, and they added, I think 60 plus defense to both its special defense and its regular defense. And that is very scary for an already bulky Pokemon.
Yeah. To be honest, though, and Utah, I'm intrigued to see your aspect on this, because these patches, they can really throw some wild things out in the area and completely change the way the game's played. We've had an all-rounder meta for so long now, but these patches that come in that can shake it up a bit, I mean, Slowbro having changes here as well. Like, how does that make you feel as a player?
Yeah, I feel like I played on the patch already, so I gotta have like my opinion on. So I think I think Ho is gonna be like a broken.
Yes.
It's like the change of the spell, I think, is like Sacred Fire. It's so good. Like now, like have like multiple CC spells. They can like just CC the enemies, and yeah, it's pretty exciting. Yeah, I think Latios is pretty good.
I already thought that Ho-Ho was awesome anyway before that patch came out. I just feel like, again, it's one of those un-KOable Pokemon. It takes a lot to take it down. So what we will do is we'll show the standings after the open qualifiers, and we'll show you where teams currently are. Of course, we've had 2 weeks of action going on anyway. So these are the top 14 standings right now. First place being Banana Peelers, and then Cafe Umate. Now, one thing I will say is that whilst we've been watching these games throughout the weeks, there are two teams for me that are really beginning to shine. Banana Peelers being one, and Do You Like Pineapple being the other. But that's the joy of weekly tournament action with these leagues, right, Kyle?
I do like Pineapple, by the way. Thanks for asking. But yes, I think it's always fun to kind of see how it goes throughout the entire season. Obviously, it's a very long one, right? I think we talked about it. It's 12 weeks of nonstop action. So we're already kind of in the thick of it. I'm really excited. I always love league play, especially because usually that means that teams will likely stick together. I think it kind of helps, a little bit of a storyline, teams developing, getting better as time goes on over the weeks. You have a lot of consistent matchup, and there's a lot of room for improvement throughout the entire standing. So I'm excited to see what these teams can bring.
Yeah, 100%. And I do want to bring a little bit of attention to Oblivion. They're currently sat in 11th place, losing both of their first two sets. Now, Oblivion, people that know the EU region will know of Oblivion. They are a team that has played in every league that's been created for the EU region so far. They played in the original Pokemon Unite Challengers League. They played in the one that I created, and they have won every EU league that's been created in this grassroots scene. So right now, they are starting on a bit of a back foot. But coming into this, they were the team that people were thinking, it's Oblivion, like they're a massive threat. So, Utah, coming into a league, you've lost the first two sets. How do you feel as a player in a team there? You've got to look at improvements, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty rough, but you know, you need to keep the mental, you need to keep the energy, and even if you're losing, you're like 0-2, you can like still win games or like
100%.
trying
That's what
trying your
that's-
best.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? It's a league, and there's 12
Yeah.
weeks of this league, so there's definitely time to turn it around. And I think what you've said there about the mental is always going to be the biggest point. When you are winning and consistently winning, it makes it a little bit easier to have that mental of we're great, we're improving, we're doing well. Maybe a little bit of overconfidence can come into play, and we can talk about that later. But when you are losing, it's difficult to keep that mental about you, and I think that's probably the biggest part of any kind of esports, right, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean that's any type of esport, any type of esport, any type of sport. I mean, you gotta keep your mental up, right? Like, it's a game. There's always gonna be ups, there's gonna be downs, and when you have such a long season, you have to be ready to kind of withstand those because there are gonna be some trials and tribulations through the path. That's just kind of how things go, and teams that can really stick together, teams that can tough out those tough challenges are going to come out ahead, and hopefully for those 6 teams, they'll be able to get to that Master Series.
Now, as we talk, we've already had 2 weeks of action. Looking at the picks and bans, chat. So Blaziken and Blissey are the most popular picks, with Blaziken maintaining about a 50% win rate so far. Blissey is much lower, and I'd like to know your opinion on this, Utah, because we were thinking that it might be due to it being a highly standardized pick. Most teams do pick the Blissey, and most teams kind of know how to play around it. What's your sort of thought around that?
Yeah, I think Blissey is one of the best support in the game right now. And like in this patch they nerfed the support, so I think it's gonna be like even better. And about Blaziken, I don't know. I don't think it's like that broken, but I mean it's a good all-rounder. You can play around it. You can play it like top jungle, so yeah.
Yeah, I think coming out with a sort of 50% win rate is pretty decent in 2 weeks for Blaziken. I hate going up against that Pokemon. I will always hate going up against that Pokemon. Now, Buzzwole hasn't been picked often, but when it does, it shows really solid results, usually being able to come out with a win. On the other side of it, though, as we mentioned about supports, Alchemy, however, got banned loads in week 1, but week 2, its ban rate dropped significantly. Now, Kyle, what do you think about that? Do you think it's teams sort of sussing out how the Pokemon works, or more that, you know, in other weeks we've got people that know how to really dominate on that Pokemon?
I think it could be maybe a little bit of both, but also today might be different, right? We just received that patch, so Alchemy is one of those nerfed Pokemon. I played it a little bit last night just to kind of test it out. Still feels very strong. Maybe not as oppressive. So I think there's a pretty good chance that a lot of people are going to let this Pokemon through. I think in terms of supports, the Decorate build was definitely kind of the build of choice. The Recover build I found to be quite difficult because unlike something that's very similar in the Pollen Puff Eldegoss, those Whipped Cream sometimes can be really tough to like pick them out in the middle of like when there's like 8 Pokemon just all fighting around. So sometimes it's harder to pick them up. So as a support player, sometimes you're like, just pick up that Whipped Cream. And then like when I'm playing with a Recover Alchemy, I'm like, where's the Whipped Cream? Oh, it's all the way over there. I did not see that. My bad. So it is kind of a tough Pokemon, but I think the big thing is that Unite move. I think the Alchemy players are learning, when to use it in those big team engages, and you tend to have to be a little bit aggressive. You can't be a reactive type of Unite move. You really want to like pop that Unite move early in the fight to kind of allow your team to be aggressive.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. I mean, it did get a little bit of a nerf, I think, to the shields, but still, I think just the way that the Unite move is built is always going to be one of those really strong ones. It's like Slowbro, isn't it? Until you take off that invincibility, like it's gonna be always a really good Unite move. Now, just having a nosy at the patch notes, what I do like, and I feel like we need a little bit more of, obviously Gardevoir got plenty of buffs, and I think we need some more of these range attackers getting these buffs, Utah, because right now, I mean, you've got Inteleon, Mewtwo, and Miraidon that kind of lead the charge on that ranged attacker, and we don't get much more, right?
Yeah, we don't get much more, and I feel like I don't know, range more like mages are like so hard to play in this meta because it's like brawly, like so much speedsters, so it's kind of hard like to get a lot of value out of it. I think Gardevoir maybe it's better if you played like bot lane, but
Yeah.
jungle, because jungle you're just like gonna get snowballed by your speedster or wander, so yeah.
Yeah, I think it comes into that where you need a ranged attacker that's got a bit of movement, don't you, really? You need that maneuverability. With Gardevoir, you're kind of relying on hitting them with the stun to kind of give you that little bit of space. But when you look at Inteleon, they've got the Fell Stinger. When you look at the Mewtwo Y, you've got the Teleport. So it's those ranged attackers that have that maneuverability that do better in this meta. I want to see more, though. I want to see some more stuff coming out. And we do have an Inteleon nerf. I think that's going to be quite interesting, Cal, because Inteleon, if it's not banned, is one of those you have to pick this Pokemon. And here in EU, we have some massive players that dominate on this Pokemon.
Yeah, but it's also bugged right now, which is kind of really upsetting. So for those that don't know, Inteleon received a massive nerf, which I think Timmy did a really good job of kind of figuring out what was broken on this Pokemon, which was that early game. Having incredible not only last hitting ability, but ability to just take wild Pokemon experience for yourself with those critical hit diamonds. So you're only getting 1 on Sobble now, you're getting 2 on Drizzile, and then the full 3 on Inteleon. But the Fell Stinger right now is broken on Drizzile. So normally you get those 2 diamonds when you Fell Stinger a wall, but right now it's not working as intended. You only get the 2 diamonds if you hit an enemy Pokemon, which it doesn't make that cooldown incredibly low, like whatever it is, like 2 seconds. So it is a little bit bugged. So I imagine maybe someone will be kind of like crazy enough to play it. I don't know. I think once it gets the bug fix, I still think it will be impactful because of that late game. It's just not an auto win in Path now like it was for the last couple months.
I mean, I can bet there'll be some players that are still going to be bringing that out, right, Utah? We've got Aaron here in the EU that just dominates on Inteleon. We'll be seeing plenty of that, I reckon. But I mean, you don't really want to be aiming the Fell Stinger at Pokemon, I guess, right? It's you get out of jail free tool, but you never know. People do sometimes like to play these Pokemon aggressively. Now, what I want to see more of is this Buzzwole. I feel like it's a little bit of a sleeper pick at the moment. We've seen that when it does get picked up, it does really well. It is one of those all-rounders that you kind of need to build a little bit of a team around, but I just think it'll be fantastic to see some more of that, because it's one of those Pokemon where once it gets snowballing, it is very exciting to watch. But let's have a look at today's schedule. We've been yapping on long enough talking about all the things that we should hopefully be seeing in these weekly battles. But here is our stream schedule for the day. It's going to be Do You Like Pineapple versus Ultimate to kick us off. Do You Like Pineapple being one of the teams that I'm keeping a close eye on. They've been impressive so far. Cafe Du Martin are going to be taking on Lunar Guardians in that second set. And Cafe Du Martin, I believe, haven't lost a set yet. Mia Familia and Oblivion. There's a lot of lore going around both of those teams that I've heard of, by the way. But Mia Familia are currently sitting top in these standings versus Oblivion, who are looking for a win yet in this week 3. And then finally, we'll close it off with the Victory Road versus the enemies. Now, Utah, you know a couple of these teams, but is there any that you're most excited to see on this stream?
Yeah, I think Cafe Jumata and Lunar Guardians, I'm excited, and Mia Familia against Oblivion.
I every time the players in Mia Familia versus Oblivion fight, it gets really intense, Kyle. So I'm incredibly excited to cast this one with you, buddy. It's non-stop fighting, non-stop action. I hope you've got plenty of water with you, mate, because you'll be needing it for that one.
I have water. I have a coffee. I think I'm ready.
I've got the Red Bull to go as well. It's an amazing schedule. I'm very excited for these games. Let's see if Do You Like Pineapple to begin with can continue getting these wins locked in. They are one of the most impressive teams that I'm seeing so far. And, it's just waiting to see whether they'll end up, because there's been times where they've been playing on the back foot, but have still been managing to lock in the experience and take the Rayquaza. They know how to play around a game, whether they're in the lead or not. And that's what I've been finding most impressive about this team. So I mean, it's one of these where these teams are going to improve on a weekly basis, right, Utah? And you will get those teams that begin to be the unKOable, where you're like, we need to take down this champion. That's the joy of League play, right?
Yeah, that's the joy of League, and it's gonna be so exciting, you know, like seeing like all these players like trying to like win, and
What I like is that a lot of these players, especially indie like Pineapple, I've known them for a long time in the EU region. They've been playing Pokemon Unite for years, and just how far they've come as competitive players in this team now. It's exciting to see them develop like that and really put on a good show in here against some massive teams. I mean, a lot of people will recognize these names, but that's just exciting in itself, isn't it, Kyle? To see these players develop and improve, to hopefully see them on the big stage, it's a personal pet project of mine where I'm like, this is just so exciting.
I mean, that's the name of the game. That's why we do this. There's always, going to be that top echelon of players that you expect to be in that top 8 category. But I think coming from North America and kind of how our, I guess, scene and meta is with the current teams, I think like the top 6 to maybe not 16, maybe like top 6 to 12 is kind of the wild west. So there is kind of like this maybe a little bit of a gap between like the top 4 and like that next echelon of player, where just maybe small tweaks, small improvements on maybe their drafting, maybe small macro decisions can really take a team from being a perennial top 12 to getting qualified for Worlds. I mean, the biggest Cinderella story, I think, for North America is version 1, a team that I have been so ingrained with over the last couple of years in a lot of very similar leagues, right? EUL, what we had in North America was called Articuno League, and version 1 was a perennial top 2 champion. They won like 3 in a row, and this season in UCS play, they were just on the cusp. They never hit a top 8. They were always like top 12, top 9, like they were like right there, just barely almost breaking into that top 8, and then regionals came. They broke the doors off, not only getting the top 8, but getting their Worlds qualification. So I would love to see that happen. A long story short, I would love to see that happen for one of these EUL teams. I think it's just so cool to see kind of like that progression.
Yeah, no, 100%, but it's kind of the same in EU. You've got the 3 big teams. You've got Gen 5, you've got Coma, you've got Nouns, and then it's kind of anyone's game. So it's really exciting to see which team will fill that gap. What we're going to do here, chat, is we're going to bring you some replays from Week 1 and Week 2, so you can see the kind of action that these teams can be getting on with. Good.
We just got word from production that we are supposed to talk through this. So,
oh, okay.
I'm taking a look. Yeah, I was like, wait, are we clear? I'm not sure what the play is, and then Shiv's just like laughing at us in the background. We're seeing here Inteleon again. We were talking about this in the pre-show. I'm not sure if we'll see Inteleon with the nerfs, but man, this Pokemon was just kind of toxic in a lot of ways. You see the sustainability, the amount of damage from those critical hits. I would be excited to see if a player can like work around not only the nerfs but the bug. That would really kind of cement Inteleon as still like one of the best attackers. I'm excited to see it. Maybe we'll see it, but I'm skeptical at least right now.
I think we're definitely going to see it, buddy. I'm with you. I think, there'll be these players that just want to prove that it can still be viable, even having that bug. Right now, though, Pineapple, they had every single part of this game locked in. They were really dominant. We come down to the Rayquaza stretch here. They've already taken game 1. They managed to find a really big pick, diving into that bush, and then it was just a clean. It was very difficult for them to handle the Aegislash, but that Rekindling Flame Wow, honestly, I was screaming down the mic. This won them this game. It was absolutely incredible. Before this, I'd already made a claim that we don't see many rekindling flames in this Pokemon game, and then that happened.
And not only that happened, but even after that, now I fully expect to see some Ho-Oh today. The buffs that it received, I think you talked about it a little bit. It seems incredibly powerful. Not just the change from Fly to Sacred Fire, but the addition to crowd control on the Fire Spin ability. That really actually makes Ho-Oh feel more like a tank player, where, you know, you actually have a little bit of crowd control with that stun. So I'm excited to see it. I think it could be really powerful, and even before the buffs, like you said, Rekindling Flame, an incredible tool for players to just re-enter the fight. It allows players to play a little bit more aggressively at the start of the fight, knowing that Ho-Oh can just res them and maybe win a second fight.
This is crazy, by the way. It is Amarouge going in with that Fire Spin. The entirety of Oblivion was in that pit, buddy. They were zoning out anyone coming their way. And then Maviki just throws up that Fire Spin, gets close enough to Ray to take it. Pineapple have always found a way to win. It's the mentality of bend, don't break for this team in this season. And it has been awesome to see in these first few weeks. They just, they'll lose some Pokemon, but they always have somebody ready to get the approach. This flank from Skull was incredible. They managed to take 3 KOs, buddy, making sure that they take out the mega damage of the Mewtwo Y first, and then locking the rest in with the Unite move. And Pineapple have really shown themselves to be a team that has massively progressed and slowly becoming one of my favorites here, trying to be unbiased as possible. But it's Lunar Guardians that you were excited for, Utah, and they've put in a pretty good showing so far.
Yeah, I'm excited of Ultimate as well. I just saw like the names and yeah.
I say people will see some of these names and be like, oh my god, it's them. Yeah, there's a lot of big names here. And, you know, a lot of... It's been a really great league so far. Here, just wanting to really try and push this in. This is where it can get a little bit awkward, though, because Lunar Guardians, they were trying to catch up on the levels, and they've given quite a bit of experience trying to push this Lecky in. That's one thing that I feel like teams, they either want to go for it at that mark, and it's not quite the play a lot of the time.
Yeah, and I just saw like a Tinkaton. Like Tinkaton is not like really like that much played in the like competitive, but I think that Mon like can be really good. With like some of conditions, but yeah, I really like that Mon.
I'm pretty sure this is where Ultimate managed to sneak in a final couple of scores to win that one. It was incredible, Kyle. But yeah, we do see a lot of these Pokemon that have been coming out. Tinkaton is another one. We've seen plenty of Cramorant, and it just leads to that team play. This was just a power nap to stun everybody on that team. And then I think Buzzwole ends up coming in here and just managed to clean them all up. The damage they've managed to find, they get pulled in with this, and then it's just going to be Swole Slam all day long, clean up the rest of the team, and boom. That's all she wrote. It's impressive. This is what I'm talking about with Buzzwole, Kyle. We need to see more of that. I mean, that was, you know, incredible.
I'm starting to see why Utah liked Ultimate there. I'm starting to see why. But I do like this Armarouge pick, but obviously 1v4 is never super fun. But I think Armarouge is also kind of one of those Pokemon. While it did receive a little bit of nerfs, it's really powerful. But when you have some kind of range damage dealers, like something like that Gardevoir that was recently buffed, that's kind of where Armarouge does struggle, because it doesn't have the greatest range, but it really thrives in kind of like those brawly compositions. That Fire Spin's really good, and not only that, but that Psyshock is incredible. But looks like we got our first matchup.
That we do. It's going to be Pineapple versus Ultimate here. Both teams have won both sets that they've had in the first 2 weeks. So somebody is going to have to lose this one here, Kyle. The Galarian and Rapidash is going to be the first ban for Pineapple, and Kranix is going to lock in that Alchemy as well.
Yeah, I don't blame them one bit. This Galarian Rapidash, we saw it get banned entirely at NAIC because of a bug. Bug's been fixed, but even before that bug, one of the things I talked with my team was, was like, I saw a lot of players, not only just like the central area, but even like those bot path attackers start to practice Galarian Rapidash, and I felt it was very oppressive, and it seems like a lot of competitive players agree, which is why we're starting to see some bans. I also like this Hoopa ban along with the Snorlax. I think the buffs to Snorlax means it is going to be probably that best tank, and which is why you're seeing it banned.
And Ho-Oh gets picked straight away. Already, it was a difficult Pokemon to take out, being able to cause a huge distraction throughout most of the game. Now, we're going to be able to see it with this new buff and how more un-KOable it can possibly be. Ultimate are going to lock in the Blissey and the Garchomp here. They do like to utilize this Garchomp, but that's quite an early pick for that one, Kyle.
Quite an early pick, but I mean, I trust Cranix, especially with a pocket Blissey that is maybe not an auto win like it used to be, but it's still an incredible, powerful combination. I like this counter pick from Pineapple. Not only do you get that Blaziken on the top lane, which may struggle maybe a little bit on the earlier side, but this Armarouge pick, I love. I love it into Brawly composition, so when you have that Garchomp on the other side, being able to break it a little bit with either the Psyshock or Flame Charge, depending on how they want to go, I think this is a great pick here for Pineapple.
And already we're seeing the impact of these the Inteleon bug. Mewtwo Y is going to be picked up here by Kyoro rather than the Inteleon that we saw them hovering over. Dodo, though, is going to run it back with the Leafeon that we already saw in the highlights. They are so dominant on, and they're going to pair that with the Suicune that Pineapple likes to use so much, really managing to get those freezes and CC coming through.
I love this gutter pick from Nachos as well. Zeraora is just kind of an iconic pick for some players, and I think Nachos definitely can pop off on this Pokemon. And I think it's also a great pick into other speedsters, so might be kind of like that counter towards that Leafeon. So I'm excited to see this 1v1 matchup, Nachos versus Dodo on the Leafeon. Kind of see who comes out ahead, but I'm also kind of interested to see which moveset that we're going to go from Nachos. I could definitely see the Wild Charge build because of the amount of CC that Pineapple's bringing, especially with that Suicune.
I love Wild Charge. It's I know Discharge is the one where people always use it. It does a great amount of damage. It can pull people in, but I just think Wild Charge is so fun and so frustrating to play against because you're like, why can't I hit you? It is a ridiculously fun move. But I do think with Nachos, we do have to highlight the fact that they're an extremely flexible player and one of the best here in the EU region, buddy. We've seen them dominate in week 1 and week 2 on Zoroark, on Delphox, on Greninja, playing off-meta picks and really managing to flex their skills on those Pokemon very well. So having them here on a Pokemon they're extremely comfortable on in that Zeraora is definitely a scary feat for Pineapple.
Is very, very, very important. So we are going to get into game number 1, Pineapple versus Ultimate. Pineapple taking the left side, Ultimate on the right.
And it is going to be central area here for Nachos, and it's the Blaziken taking the central area for Pineapple, wanting to make sure that they get that lock-in as early as possible. This lane's going to be interesting, Kyle, because this Ho-Oh will refuse to be taken down.
It is quite good on the earlier game, that safeguard ability along with Tailwind to really get the last hitting ability. Ultimate, though, being able to take a little bit away from Pineapple is really nice early on.
Oh, Kranix managing to get themselves away with our focus ban. Got pretty weak, though. Nearly managing to pick up Leafeon as well. But here comes Nachos as we hit the 9-10 mark. They want to go straight in for a KO here if they can. Oh, in fact, they may be AFK.
I thought they were going for a long pressure, but I'm like, I don't know if they realize that's gone. They're just going to run up against the wall. So very unfortunate there. Not sure if we'll get a pause from admin. We do. Yeah, very unfortunate, but I think we'll get back in relatively soon. It's always funny. I'm like, wait a minute. He's not being sly about this at all.
And maybe a false sense of security, or maybe it just confirms that Nachos is still playing on the Switch 1, and that's what's going on here, buddy. Because that's what happens to me. But yeah, good sportsmanship from Pineapple not to lock in that KO and just go back into their lane. Of course, that's easy experience that anyone could get. So good sportsmanship from them. But looking where we're at right now, Kyle. So we've got this level 4 Char Cadet not managed to hit that Evo yet. I do see them hitting that 9 minute that spawns on up, but it doesn't look like they're going to get there in time for the 950s.
Yeah, it'll be maybe a little bit late, but I think looking at the positioning, you have the Combuskin, you have the Ho-Oh, and you don't have a slow bro yet. You still are at the slow poke stage for Ultimate. So I think it's okay that Char Cadet is a little bit late. I mean, granted, its last hitting ability also not the strongest, so won't be able to provide a ton of value as a Char Cadet. It'll provide a little bit of value, a little bit of range, a little bit of that, residual burning effect, but we are going to get back into it. 850 Bird's going to be on the map.
Tough position for Nachos to be in as well, because the team knows where you are and how you're going to approach this. Gibble, though, a decent amount of damage as they dive on in there, but it is going to be a wise decision by both teams to grab what they can and go on the retreat.
Ultimate, kind of a little bit of a stalemate there. I mean, you don't have your level 5 on the Gibble, you don't have your level 4 on the Blissey yet. Bottom path did go pretty okay. I mean, you use that Mega Mewtwo Y evolve. Maybe for not a whole lot. I think they just hit their level 5 and they were already full gauge. So you don't kind of get a lot of value off of that first one because they kind of dissipated that fight a little bit early. But if you're Ultimate, you definitely want to get this Chansey online. And are they disconnected now too? Or are they just grabbing vision? I can't tell.
Mbox just sitting themselves up camp in that bush, buddy. I don't know. We'll have to keep a close eye on it. The 8 minutes are spawning on in. Pineapple show up to it in style. Kranix makes the decision to go around this central area, trying to see if they can find a pick. Unable to do so with the drag. And they're going to be able to retreat on the side of Pineapple, taking every piece of experience they could get their hands on, Kyle.
Yeah, not only that, but another 50 points on in. They're looking to crash there. 28 would break that with a minimal overcap. And yeah, that surely enough, still a Chansey hiding in the tall grass. We're going to get another pause here. So unfortunately for Ultimate, a little bit of technical difficulties here in game number 1.
It happens, buddy. It's a part of esports in general. Never mind Pokemon Unite. I love the fact that they paused the game the second they were spotted in that bush by Pineapple, though. Just like, oh no, they found them. We'll pause it. We'll get them in as soon as we can, guys. But early on, it does look like Pineapple has a bit of an advantage, and they haven't really capitalized on these disconnects because, of course, they haven't found the KOs off the back of them, Kyle. But it's one of those where if Nachos was in that lane and they didn't know where they were, they might have been able to have a better approach into that lane.
Yeah, they could have had it, potentially, right? I mean, that's why we play the game. You never know what happens if they're fully online. Maybe Leafeon finds that KO, but Zeraora, notorious for having a lot of escape tools. I'm excited to see it once everybody gets online and connected. Hopefully we have some Ethernet connection instead of the Wi-Fi, because yeah, I mean, pauses are no fun. Breaks up the momentum. It kind of just stalls and lags things out. But I don't know. Game 1's off to a little bit of a rocky start, regardless.
That is. Pineapple, though, when they do manage to sneak themselves a little bit of a lead, they don't let it go, buddy. They are a very aggressive team, and they really want to continue being aggressive throughout the entirety of the game. We've already seen Dodo online trying to find those quick KOs with that Leafeon, so it is going to be the onus on Nachos to really try and limit that or find their own KOs onto the side of Pineapple, though they don't really have any easy targets, right? That Armor Rouge ain't an easy target for speedsters.
It really isn't. It's very brawly. If it hits, it doesn't have its level 7 yet, so I don't think that we've seen if it's going with the Flame Charge or the Psyshock build. I think both are very strong. I played a lot of Armor Rouge this past season, primarily with the Flame or Fire Spin build. But depending on the enemy composition, I played both Psyshock and I played Flame Charge into heavy dive where there's not a whole lot of ranged targets or like mid-range Pokemon. Flame Charge is incredibly powerful. But if there is that little bit of range on that enemy team, Psyshock also a fantastic ability. Just the amount of brawling that this Pokemon wants to do. And it does struggle, though. I think it's kind of one weak point. Not only crowd control. I think a lot of Pokemon struggle with enemy crowd control. So that's kind of a weak one. But a lot of ranged targets where Armarouge can't get on top of them, that could be really strong. So look for like that Leafeon on their team to really take care of that range damage, and Armarouge just there to clean up the pieces of like all those brawly, team fights.
Yeah, it's typically where we see a lot of the Psyduck coming in, right? Because people and teams use that Psyduck to reposition people into that Fire Spin. So I'm quite surprised that Pineapple haven't gone for it here. We've seen them play it before, but what we are going to do, chat, is we're going to take a quick break while we get these Sableyes out of our system. We will be back with you very shortly. Don't go anywhere. All right, we said we'll be back, and here we are, Kyle. We've started the game off. We've yeeted Sableye out of it. Here we go once again.
Alrighty, we're gonna see the same thing, same compositions. It's just a little bit of reset since it was a little cursed from the get-go. Oh no. Oh no. Tano, the Chansey's still in the base. This has been cursed from the start. But we'll see what happens. Ho-Oh trying to get some last hits. I believe they were able to sneak one of those away.
I feel like what's happened is, knowing that you're here, Dispenser has come on the Sableye and has joined into the system and has cursed this opening game, buddy. We'll have to see how they get on here, though. I mean, no surprises. Pineapple are managing to dominate this bottom lane so far, managing to take away majority of that farm, and the final hit there as well is pretty huge for Pineapple.
Oh, man, now Kranix is having some issues.
It's like a plague, bro.
I mean, I think this disconnection disease has certainly spread to multiple players. Pineapple definitely. There we go. Oh, he's walking a little. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think we're just memeing at this point. 40 points likely going in the top half.
I mean, listen, had to eject to that one, right? Had to get in range to be able to take those out. Unfortunately, the wrong direction. Charcadet does manage to find a KO on Mewtwo Y. So at least, I mean, both players down here on the side of Ultimate have been connected well and trying to put up a good defense. But when you don't have anyone on your side coming to back you up, it's very difficult when they manage to find those early secures.
Oh, Mewtwo Y coming down here, putting a little bit of A-press pressure. Psy Strike is going to connect. I believe Focus Band proc. Slow Bro now getting the KO, but not before the Mewtwo Y goes down.
There's a good pickup, though, managing to find a KO, and there's Emerald two-step onto a Slowbro. It may be tanky, but it ain't doing much against that, and sent back to the Pokemon Center. These 8 minutes are going to be taken by the entirety of Pineapple, and with 3 people in base, Ultimate definitely on the back foot.
Yeah, they are going to start migrating somewhere. I'm not sure exactly what the play is. Chansey, Gibble going to try to maybe salvage some experience, get evolved for themselves, because right now, not going so great for those 3, especially with some of the connection issues. Got a little bit of a dance here as Leafia, and also just holding on to this T1 goal zone. Looks like Pineapple starting to migrate down to the bottom path. We're likely going to have this 720 birds.
I mean, it's Pokemon Unite. There's catch-up mechanics all over the board, and we do manage to find an Evo onto the side of the Gabite, but now an Emerald two-step coming in from Dodo, looking to take down Mewtwo Y. Slowbro putting up an absolute shift to defend this T1 pad. Manages to pull the team away, but Leafeon is going to come in for a cheeky 37 dunk as Nachos gets sent back to the Pokemon Center.
Slowbro's overtime application was denied. Pokemon Center acquired. Reggie Rock going to be the basement Reggie earned here from Pineapple after breaking that T1 goal zone. Maybe a little bit of a scuff secure, but Armorers gets it done, 160-0. Blissey off on a little bit of a Jet 2 holiday in the central area base of Pineapple.
Yeah, listen, looking to find the easy scores into the home pad. They're just relying on Ultimate to break these T1s and T2s, buddy. Kranix managing to dive on in here, looks to take the Lecky, unable to do so as Blaziken locks them in, as well as the secure onto that Regieleki. They break the T1 pad and they give themselves an entire minute and 10 seconds to push this one in with no springboard.
Eject button into the Slowbro, pushes them out of the way, and that means Regieleki finds a home into goal zone. Points are available here for Pineapple to go ahead and break, and they do. Maybe not the best overcap there. They had a 35 they've gotten, but they didn't. I elected break with, I think, maybe a 1 or 2 point overdunk.
Yeah, it's one of those where they want to break these pads as much as possible. I think looking to get more of these Leckies into the home base when they spawn in, buddy. But again, we're going to see Beach just try and put up the defense here, absorb all of that damage coming in from Mewtwo Y to allow Skull to set up. They're trying to get the ambush ready to go, but Ultimate, of course, they're just going to go back and find some experience on their own side.
Right now, 275, big old goose egg for Ultimate. I think they've all but conceded here in game number 1. I think they definitely need to find something. A nice little Psy Strike is going to put a little bit of damage on this Blaziken. Going to maybe put a little bit more pressure on this Ho-Oh, but being a couple levels down means that it's just not enough damage to really make any sort of impact. So they're going to need to get these levels up. They're going to need to maybe start coming back here. Because, I mean, you look at it, level 8 on the Gabite, level 10 on the Mewtwo and the Zeraora, when you have 2 level 12s on the side of Pineapple. So it's just incredibly tough to deal with when you're this far behind. And unfortunately, a lot of that due to those disconnects.
Yeah, rightly so. Finally, we get some points in here for the side of Ultimate. I mean, if we can maybe get some more levels, they can at least have a fight at the Rayquaza. Dodo's just going to lock in here. The Ice Spikes come out from Bida as well, and just making sure that Ultimate don't get away. They're going to find all the KOs they're looking for as we hit level 12s, nearly 13 on the side of that Leafeon.
Hey, but they got some points in, so not a shutout at this point. 24 points in, but 315 the other way is going to be tough to deal with, as well as a home goal zone walking Aleki. Blissey getting lit on fire by this Ho-Oh. Nice little flamethrower KO. Closed out, actually, by that Leafeon. And this is just like a lot of pressure right now. So Pineapple doing exactly what you need to do and really staying on the enemy side of the map.
And that Lecky was taken before the 4-minute mark. I think they'll have about 10 seconds to try and lock in the next one. Looking to push this into the home pad. It does eventually go. Plasma Gale comes out, but Ultimate have accepted their fate. They put up the white flag. That was a mountain for them to climb against anyway with those connection issues, Kyle. So no surprises there.
Certainly wasn't a molehill, that's for sure. Yeah, Pineapple taking game 1 here. Hopefully Ultimate could get back in, not only in this series, but maybe in the lobby for a little bit of a longer connection. It's always so tough, right? Like, you can't always blame the player. I don't know, like, if there's, like, just some detrimental connection issues, maybe somebody having internet issues. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but, Pineapple getting the win makes it a little bit easier for them, going into game number 2.
Well, I mean, the fact is, Ultimate had 3 players that were having connection issues, really, and that, I've not known many teams to be able to climb up against that. It's definitely not a good position for them to be in. But we're going to take a quick break, try and see if we can sort things out a little bit more, and we'll be back with you very shortly, Chad. Don't go anywhere. Hello trainers and welcome back. We've had so many connection issues that we've decided to bring you some action from another game, but we are going into a game 3, so it's going to be a pretty hype one here. It's going to be Cafe Du Martin versus Crassout GG. So we're going to be sticking with Cafe Du Martin for a couple of games here, Kyle.
Alrighty, I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, the first set that we tried, a lot of connection issues. Hopefully no one is going to crash out here, because it is 1-1, best of 3 series. Going to come down to this final game to see who is going to be the winner of this set. Already getting onto the bans. Not a huge surprise here. The Blissey, regardless of the meta, seems like always a strong ban in this Ho-Oh. I also really like this ban early on.
Yeah, and also Utah, come on, we've got a Greninja ban coming out here. It's got to be a player target ban for that, right?
Play a lot of Grin.
That's all.
Oh yeah, it's targeted.
That's why we love these, players get to know each other so intimately in these League games. So I like that a lot. Looking for the first pick here, Kyle. Suicune is going to be picked up by Kathy DeMartin.
I mean, Suicune is just an incredibly safe pick. A lot of teams end up playing it in more of like that, mid-range support type of role because of the amount of crowd control that it offers. You could always pivot it into a damage role, but I think just given the state of Unite, I think that XP share just fits it so well. So you do see that getting added here.
Oh, okay. So Snorlax, Hooper, picked up by Crash Out GG, just trying to make sure that they've got the core of their comp ready to go. On the other side, Utah, it looks like Kathy DeMartin's going pretty aggressive early on.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't pick like Rapidash on 1-2. I think like Rapidash was open. They preferred like to pick the Hoopa and the Lax. So yeah, I'm a bit concerned about it.
Let's see if they continue to be concerned. They're going to pick up the Aegislash and the Alolan Raichu. So kind of building a bit of a front line around that Raichu, trying to sort of get that little bit of kite ability and damage coming on out. What do we think about that, Kyle?
I like it, and especially into that Galarian Rapidash. It's one of those attackers that can really, it has a lot of mobility that a lot of attackers can't really say. So I do like that pick. I think Galarian Rapidash is just incredibly powerful. You do have a lot of crowd control to deal with, though, on the Crash Out, either the micro stuns from the Aegislash. I think that's the pick I really like into the Galarian Rapidash because you can lock on with those boosted autos.
That's pretty huge. Now, I wasn't expecting to see much of it yet, Utah, but we have a Charizard picked up on the field. What do we think about that?
Yeah, I think Charizard is right now a very good mon. You just need like to avoid the early game, but if you like really like scale, like farm, and get your ultimate, it's gonna be very devastating.
Yeah, it's all about that Unite move, isn't it? It's, no matter what state Charizard is in with the rest of its set, that Unite move is always going to be pretty huge for these team fights. So, and, surprisingly low cooldown for it as well. You can get a couple off in a game, which I think when you have a Pokemon that is capable of doing that, it's pretty massive, right? All right.
Pretty massive.
So, pretty massive that Unite move is, buddy. We'll see plenty of it coming out today. But I mean, Crash Out GG. So they lost both. This is on the back of sort of week 2 is this matchup, which is why we're going to follow Kathy DeMartin for this one and the next one. So Crash Out GG. I've just had confirmation that we had a bit of a crash on the server there, chat. So Sableye will not leave us alone today. It has been an absolute nuisance. But as I was saying, Crash Out GG, they lost their first set in week 1, 2-0. So they're coming into this, and already they've had an improvement here against Kathy DeMartin, managing to take them to a game 3, Kyle. That alone is a pretty big step.
I mean, game 3s are always fun, and it helps maybe any sort of like tiebreaker scenarios too, right? So even if they lose this set, at least pushing it to a game 3 is always beneficial. You definitely learn a little bit about a team as the sets go on. So maybe this is kind of like the linchpin in Crash Out GG. They just needed to kind of feel out the opponent. Now that they've got a win, game 3, they really understand how they want to pick. So you're seeing like those counter picks, which I absolutely love. I love the Aegislash. I love the Charizard. Charizard, I think one of the winners of this patch, not only like the addition of a little bit of stats, right? It got some defense buffs, if I'm not mistaken, but the addition to the damage from burned targets, it could be very valuable. We're certainly going to see it. I think Charizard, even before the patch, was an incredibly niche pick. We saw some teams really utilize it. Well, a team. Luminosity Gaming used it pretty well into certain compositions, but now that it's buffed, I mean, you're starting to see it more frequently. But we are uncrashed. Crash Out GG on the right, Cafe DeMartin on the left side.
Alright, this is game 3. Let's see who comes out on top. It is going to be the Rapidash and Charizard taking the central area here. That's pretty huge. Usually the Charmander will take the lane just because it's got good, consistent damage, but so does Snorlax, buddy, managing to try and sneak that one away with that Pikachu.
Nerfed Pokemon, by the way. Still incredible last hitting ability. Maybe you're seeing a little bit of that early on But you're also seeing a little bit of pressure here from the Honage, who was able to find a KO on that bounce suite. Not only that, but get a stack in.
Yeah, looking for more of this farm here as well with the assistance of Hooper. Doesn't find it though. Suicune manages to sneak that, and here comes the horse out of the left field, locking in that KO. Trying to score here, but with that burn, that ain't going to be possible. See if they can sneak a KO onto Hooper here. They are pretty weak, and it's going to be Charmeleon that comes out on top and looks for this legendary as well, wanting to see if they can find that, and they have to use the eject button, Kyle.
Hey, Charmeleon already seeing the additional damage from those burned targets. That buff looking pretty nice early on. Sawing immediate value 1v1 against the enemy's central area, and they're able to take them out. On the bottom side, though, Horse able to have a great amount of mobility, already make it there for a essential second gank, but they do come out ahead, so they found some, value in the bottom path.
Cafe Du Martin managing to slightly win this early game. They've managed to find more of these evolutions, and they've managed to get more points in, but still extremely close. Galarian Rapidash, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, still being an absolute nuisance. That's why I love this Pokemon so much, Kyle. It's like a Greedent, but better. Constantly being an absolute nuisance on anyone. Going in, causing damage, trying to get out. But Honedge manages to find the KO onto Suicune and comes out with the Evo as Charizard tries to take some of these 8 minutes, finds quite a lot of them, but Rapidash doesn't want to let them go. Mew gets it with the Electro Ball.
That's a huge target for this Mew to get that one early on, and thought for a second Charizard was going to escape. Unfortunately, they do not. The Horse, though, on hot pursuit, going to try to run away from this Snorlax. Heavy Slam, engage, caught, but the Horse able to escape very almost. The Raichu does end up taking them down eventually.
I love the Raichu pick. I think it's going to work very well for Crash Out GG here. They're managing to stay even on these levels, but all of this farm is going to go to Crash Out completely uncontested. We see in the bottom lane Mew putting up a huge offense against the Raichu, but they're still managing to grab quite a lot of that experience.
See a couple Pokemon starting to head down towards this bottom path. It is a basement Reggie that is the priority of Cafe Du Matin, and it is a Registeel. We're going to see if Crash Out GG is going to enter here. Here comes Snorlax.
Yeah, trying to see if they can buy some space for their team to lock in the Registeel, but it's going to be Mew that finds it. Cafe Du Martin with a huge global experience and that buff, with Galarian Rapidash coming in to clean up the rest of Crash Out GG. It's going to be a seismic slam from the Charizard, still trying to deal with the Rapidash, unable to do so, and now a Alolan Raichu is going to find some KOs and get swarmed by Mew and Suicune. A good effort from Charizard to connect on the side of the Mew, but now they're on their own. We have to see a retreat, trying to see if they can get back to Snorlax here, buddy. Rapidash trying to dive in for that KO. A good effort from Snorlax to get that disruption. The block was going to be huge, but it's going to be Suicune that locks in the KO with the Whirlpool.
Maybe a little bit of a cookie jar moment for Charizard, biting off a little bit more than they could chew. They get KO'd there. Good plays from the Snorlax, honestly, almost making that Charizard escape. But right now, you really need to see this sword really attack this Galarian Rapidash. It's gotten a little bit out of hand. I think right now, it's one of the few things that can really deal with it, and you're seeing it right here.
Yeah, Triad Prism goes up, and that just means that Aegislash can't get out. They're so weak right now. They've got those boosted, ready to go in for the healing, but Mew is going to find the KO on them anyway. Coaching over to the side of Suicune, and with that Electro Ball, it's a double KO, baby. The freeze comes in onto Charizard, and the Ice Spikes is going to lock in the KO for Suicune.
Never ending was that damage from Cafe Du Matin. And they are going to maybe earn themselves a nice overcap in the bottom path. They also earn that Regieleki in the top path. So right now, things firing on all cylinders for Cafe Du Martin. They're going to have a massive lead. They're finding KOs left and right. And not only that, Tano, but they are staying on the enemy side of the map, taking away all of their wild Pokemon XP. You know, they might be getting a nice little revenge KO, but it is the XP shareholder, so maybe not the best target.
Yeah, there goes the Thunderstorm Aerial as well, and that's going to be a huge Unite move to sneak out and not get any benefit from. Cafe Du Martin, we had confirmation their name means morning coffee, and Kyle, they have definitely had their morning coffee today.
Oh, I'm trying to finish the rest of mine too, but look at this, another Reggie in full position for Cafe Du Martin. It is the Snorlax trying to stall this out as Raichu and Charizard join the fray, but here comes some Unite moves.
Oh, did manage to get that prison out, and they do find the Galarian Rapidash. Seismic Slam had to be used for just that. Here comes the Moonlight Prance, trying to disrupt that Raichu. In the meantime, though, the Power Nap is going to land. It's going to be Charizard that connects on the Regirock, and they're going to clean up the rest of Cafetumarin for their efforts as well. The rings are let loose in the top lane. It's going to pull the team in to lock in these scores, and all of a sudden, Crash Out GG are back in this game with these scores reigning in, buddy. 30 points between these teams.
Look at this tempo from Crash Out GG. You thought they were dead in the water, but here they come with full vengeance. But Musted Auto is going to connect. Serena picks up the pieces. But Tano, I mean, they have fully gotten themselves back in this game. It's only a 30 point game at this point, and they have found their way back in. There's going to be another Regieleki here. There's also a little bit of time here for some potential Unite moves to go off for Cafe Du Matin to maybe make a one final push before Ray.
Big thing for me is look at these levels. Crash Out are right there. There goes the Queen Ascendance as well from the Serena. Doesn't get enough, and neither does the Ice Spikes. If anything, it does allow their team to get out, but two huge Unite moves, of course, they're going to get them back before Rayquaza. But as I was saying, Kyle, these levels, I mean, Crash Out are now in the lead with the levels.
I mean, yeah, you have two 13s, you have that Raichu and the Charizard. Aegislash slowly lagging a little bit behind, but there is some some Titans on the side of Cafe Du Martin. I mean, this Serena will hit their level 13. Snorlax, valiant effort, almost is able to take that Regieleki at the buzzer. The bottom side, though, they almost are able to get some points in on that T1 goal zone. Oh, they actually might yeah, they do. They get the KO on the Suicune, which will maybe start leveling up and gives them the point lead, at least for the time being.
Trying to see if they can lock down Charizard here. The entirety of the team is in this central area trying to find these buffs. They do take it away, and they're not going to get any KOs for their effort, though. But right now, Crash Out have managed to sneak in the points lead as well. We've got level 13s on the side of Cafetumarin, but the way that Crash Out have managed to swap this game around and get themselves back in for this Ray fight is massive.
Got a win condition is going to be essentially Rayquaza for both of these teams. A very close game, 40 points separating them, the two teams. Rayquaza on the map. It's T2 goal zones. We already have an engagement. Oh, Rapidash goes down.
Oh, that's going to be massive. Managed to get the Tri-Prism as well. Good Heavy Slam going in from the Snorlax. They're going to get a Power Nap here. As we saw the Unite move coming out from Serena, they're not going to be able to lock on. They do still have it, and right now Crash Out has managed to buy a little bit of space. Serena looking to see if they can come down for the flank here. Charizard coming back into the fight. Crash Out have done what they need to do to allow Charizard to get back here, and we're going to have another team fight.
We still have a Hoopa Unite as well. Gonna maybe heal up with that trick along with the Phantom Force. Serena caught in that tall grass. A little engaged from this Umbreon and the Snorlax, but that's not going to be the big team engage. Right now, Crash Out knows that they have the lead. It is going to be a very small one, but they do have the lead, and they have a little bit of momentum. They have 3 Unite moves, but losing the Snorlax might be big.
Yeah, Ice Spikes comes through as well. If they take Charizard, that'll be massive, but Seismic Slam comes through. Doesn't find a KO for it. Moonlight Prance is here. The damage raining down on Charizard is too much as the Electro Ball locks in, and Mew finds the KO. Umbreon proving to be a nuisance here in the back line, and it's going to be Rapidash that takes out the Raichu. One by one, Crash Out GG are falling. Just Snorlax left, but we have to get points in on the side of Cafetumarin. They are currently losing. 30 seconds on the board. Umbreon's going to go score a hundo burger. Snorlax here trying to do the impossible as the rip continues to come through. There goes the Power Nap. They've got Heavy Slam ready to go, Kyle. They're not going to lock it in, though. It is Mew that comes out on top for Cafetumarin.
Very close. Valiant effort from the Snorlax, just coming up just short. Great heads-up play by the Umbreon just in case you do not get the secure on Rayquaza. That insulated that score lead. That made sure Cafe Du Matin knew what their win condition was. And that would have been just breaking shields in those last moments. But getting the Rayquaza definitely helped in that moment. But man, great team fight there at the end.
That was a great game. It had everything, buddy. The way that Crash Out managed to get themselves back into that, and then the patience from Cafe du Marin to be able to wait out at that Rayquaza battle. We saw the push from Iglo going down into that bottom lane, trying to find a good KO down there against the Galarian Rapidash, and that's the approach that Cafe du Marin were waiting for. The second that happened, Kyle, they dived straight into that Snorlax. They managed to get a huge pick, and then it was going to be their game from there.
It was very close there at the end, but let's go ahead. Let's bring Yutao back in to talk about the stats, talk about the end game fight. Yutao, what do you think went wrong there for Crash Out?
I think they over chased when they were in the lead, and they have like the Zardolt. Like we saw that they like killed the Rapidash, even where like Rapidash ulted, so they Cafe du Matin lost like big resources.
Maybe a little bit of a cookie
Because
jar
I think
moment for
Rapidash
Charizard.
ult is
Maybe
so
fighting off a
important
little bit more
against like
than they can do
Charizard
to
or
get
just
Ow, and then they do.
in general. But they managed like to come back and play with their tools, catches, and they did a great job.
That was a huge effort from Charizard there. Mew nearly managed to take that away. But yeah, as we go down to the 240 mark here, I mean, it was a great effort from Crash Out GG, right, Utah? They managed to really flip that game around, but it's this approach here. Cafe du Marin was so patient. They waited, got a good KO onto Snorlax, and then it was all down to who was winning these Unite moves.
Yeah, I feel like Crash Out like overstepped here a bit, but yeah, I mean, Cafe du Matin played very well. They just punished them, and with their CC, we saw that Suicune just freeze every time like the enemies, and it was,
I think Kyle, we got to see some sort of action against this Suicune. I think it's one of those picks that he's managing to sneak through right now, just due to the fact that more Pokemon need to be banned. But I think it's pretty massive that the freezes and the CC that thing brings out just sets up the perfect team fights for whatever team has it.
I think there are a lot of really strong picks. We did see that Ho-Oh ban too, which I don't know. The buffs on it, I mean, we saw very little of it in the I guess, abbreviated set that we saw in, with Pineapples and, forget the other team off the top of my head, but Ultimate, that's the one. And it seems strong, obviously, there's some things going on the back end that was unfortunate, but even on ladder, when I've seen Ho-Oh get played, man, that thing provides a ton of damage, and that Pokemon's very tough to take down, so I'm not surprised that we're seeing some bans there. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we see some Snorlax bans as well going into the next set.
Yeah, rightly so. Right, we're going to take a quick break, chat, while we get the next one set up for you. We'll be back with more action shortly. Grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a snack. We'll be back soon. Alrighty, trainers, we are back. We've got another action-packed match for you here. Cafe du Marin are going to be taking on Luna Guardians, the match that you were very excited for, Utah. It's going to be a good one, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. I'm pretty excited for this match.
Will we see any of the bans changing on up? Cafe du Marin, of course, just had a game against Crash Out GG, managing to sneak away with that win there, Kyle. So we'll have to see whether they want to shake up the bans a little bit. I do feel like a bit of pressure came their way against that one.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely stood in the face of adversity and found a way to win. Luna Guardians, though, I think they are ready to maybe break into the W column here. As you see, right, 0-2 right now, Cafe de Martin 2-0. So you'd certainly love to get into that win column. We're going to see some of the bans fly out, Blissey and Ho-Oh already.
I don't think there's any surprises with that one, but the Charizard ban, Utah. So they've just gone up against it. They've realized how strong that Unite move can be, and they thought, nah, we're good. We'll take that out.
Yeah, we saw that when they're playing against Crash Out, Charizard was very strong. Now they don't want to deal with.
I mean, if we see more of this Charizard, it's going to be fascinating. But it's going to be an alchemy lock-in from the get-go here, Kyle. So Cafe du Marin putting a lot of importance onto that buff Pokemon.
Yeah, I love seeing the alchemy. I want to see kind of how this Pokemon plays in competitive now that it's been, you know, a little bit nerfed. I mean, a little bit nerfed to the Unite move, a little bit of a nerf to that Decorate build. Luna Guardians, though, they are picking this Serena. We saw Serena get a little bit of a buff and a nerf. So a buff to the Stomp build, nerf to the Triple Axle. I think still this Pokemon is going to be very powerful, but it just still needs that level 6.
Do we call that a birth or a nerf?
A birth, yeah.
A birth. We'll
like
go
it.
with birth. I like birth. It sounds good. But Cafe du Marin, what sounds good to them is a lock-in for the Mew and Suicune here. It seems like we're going to see Suicune in nearly every single game here, Utah.
Yeah, I think Suicune is one of the strongest one in the game. Like the CC, the chain CC, and even the lane. The lane phase is like very good. Also, it's gonna be like Arc.
Yeah, that's true. Feels like it's one of those like great Pokemon for being really oppressive in the lane. On the other side, though, Luna Guardians are going to lock in the Armor Rouge, which isn't oppressive to begin with, and as we've already mentioned, doesn't have great secure, but that's going to be paired with Hooper here, Kyle. So they've got, well, I mean, they're looking for a rainbow combo by the looks of things.
Yeah, and I also kind of like the pivot that you saw Nagira do with the Armor Rouge. You see 3 Pokemon that are special attack based, especially that Mew and the Suicune. They threw on that Assault Vest to maybe slow down the damage from those 2 Pokemon, maybe to a lesser extent the Alchemy, but still, that gives it a little bit more sustainability when there is quite a bit of range, because Luna Guardians does kind of struggle with the range. You're going to get outranged by the Mew, especially with that Solar Beam. So I imagine that what we're going to see from this Armor Rouge is going to be the Fire Spin build, and they're going to pick that Gutter Pick. It is the counterpart, the Paldean Prince itself, Ceruledge.
Well, we do have a WWE match on our hands here, Utah. What a brawling comp we see from both teams. Yeah, a little bit of range on Cafe du Marin, but this is going to be an all-out brawl in this game, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a big brawl, and I love to see like Armor and Ceruledge together. I think it's like so cool. And I'm so excited.
It is. I just wish their shinies were better. I mean, come on. Kyle, how much of a letdown were their shinies, really?
Honestly, there's so many Pokemon. I have hot takes on this. There's so many Pokemon that just need a better shiny. I'm hoping that with some of the Mega Evolutions, we're going to see maybe a little bit of a fix to some of them specifically. I don't know if Dragonite's like one of my like biggest offenders when it comes to shiny, because Dratini, Dragonair, gorgeous, beautiful, perfect, no notes. And then you get the green dragon. Come on, make it something a little bit fun. I would love that blue to kind of match it. But either way, here we go. Game number 1, Cafe du Matin on the left side. Luna Guardians going to be on your right side, taking the Suicune Mew down to the bottom path.
That's quite an oppressive lane for Lunar Guardians to deal with, especially having one of those Char Cadets down there. It's going to be the Cerulege that takes the central area, and Armor Rouge in the lane here for Lunar Guardians.
And we're going to see a little bit of pressure here from the Suicune. Going to force an eject out from this, or Snorlax is going to force that eject out. But Lunar Guardians is taking a lot of this experience for themselves. Although Mew also going to burn an eject here. So 2 key items here for Café du Matin not going to be available for this big engage at the A50s.
It just shows how scary Snorlax is. You see it, you eject, buddy. That's it's the only answer for dealing with it right now. But Café du Matin, they have locked in this top lane. Very comfortable right now as Snorlax does find that pick on Suicune. Not too far off level 5 here for Buzzwole. So at least on the other side of things are working out for Café du Matin in the top lane.
You see Cerulege along with the Combuskin. So the central area Pokemon are up here. So it's going to be 3-on-3 for these A50 birds. Nice little push there from Combuskin. Buzzwole also putting in overtime. Eject button from the Cerulege is also going to mean that Café du Matin might be able to push here.
Well, one thing's for sure, Cascade has been hitting the gym and does get their ankles broken there, though, by Cerulege, looking to find the KO onto Alchemy, finds it with the burn, but it is going to be Buzzwole that gets the revenge and then gets taken out themselves with a basic from Hooper. It looks like Lunar Guardians is going to find the triple here, except that goes in. Blaziken is now on the field. Can they get away, though? No, they can't. Good lock-in for Lunar Guardians.
It's a massive KO for Lunar Guardians. That was a level 4 Serena, helping take down a level 7 Combuskin. Well, I guess Blaziken at that point. So that means a big evolution there. But look at this push here. Lunar Guardians pushing way forward.
Yeah, it looks like the dominant bottom lane has really shown better for Lunar Guardians as they come into these 8 minutes, take all of that farm, looking for the final hits here. Buzzwole is going to get away on the lowest health bar that you can witness, but Suicune putting in their own shift, trying to allow these lock-ins so that Mew can find the KOs, and Blaziken coming in to clean on up with Armor Rouge falling. That's a double KO for Café du Matin.
That is massive comeback right there. For a second, I thought Lunar Guardians was going to be able to clean up a lot of that fight, but a nice little counter push from Café du Matin means that they're going to be able to get their plays up in this top path. But a little bit of a retreat here is going to be necessary as Buzzwole goes down.
Mate, these are my favorite kind of games. The back and forth that we see from teams like this is just so exciting. I mean, look here. They managed to put on a lot of pressure in the top side. Lunar Guardians have fought straight back with it. They're leaving Blaziken up here to try and see if they can take that Lecky while the rotation is on for that bottom lane.
I don't know if Lunar Guardians is aware. I think just now the Cerulege sees it, so it is going to be looking for an overheat secure, but Cerulege just steals it right out from underneath them.
Revenant Ren doesn't connect, though. They're going to try and continue to put up the fight while this Reggie still gets the rip in. Snorlax seeing if they can get close. They're going to be punched away by the Buzzwole, but they do come back. Is it going to be a lock-in from the Armor Rouge? Yes, it is! They sneak in with a Fire Spin. They take the Reggie steal, so Café du Matin have to answer with their own KOs. Buzzwole manhandling the Snorlax is going to lock that in, and they win the top lane as well.
1 HP in a dream for this Armor Rouge, but this goal zone is very much threatened, leaving it at 5 HP. So Café du Matin, they lose the objective, but they are able to put in a lot of points and get experience in a different way. Right now, it's pretty even throughout. However, when you look at the levels, Café du Matin has done quite a good job to kind of keep pace, but like you said, it's been back and forth, back and forth. Lunar Guardians, though, for this next engage, is going to have several tools, some Unite moves online.
Managing to get that pick on Hooper is huge here, but again, here comes the Unite moves. Revenant Ren lands on free. That's going to be enough to clean them up as well, Kyle, as they look for more with the Suicune. Manages to find that. Now it's down to Blaziken, and with that overheat and pushing them into the wall, they get the double. Now they're paired up against the Armor Rouge and Snorlax, and when you're getting pushed around left, right, and center, it's not easy to win that matchup, but win that matchup they do as Snorlax falls.
Incredible play there from Alchemy just in the nick of time, giving some shields to the Blaziken. Otherwise, they for sure go down, and Snorlax is able to probably live there. So nice plays there. They are able to kind of salvage that T2 pad. Otherwise, it could have been pretty troublesome for Café du Matin. As we're nearing the halfway mark, 3 points separate these two squads. Oh, but Blaziken might have been just caught.
Oh, that's the push, trying to see if they can get the flank. Looks like they're going to go down here, not able to do much more. The rings are let loose on the side of Lunar Guardians, calling in that roll call. See if they can get some points, while Buzzwole does the same in the top side. They've not really benefited from it just yet, though. Cafetu Martin are backing on up. No KOs except on the side of the Snorlax, and still the reset wasn't there. No Reggie was here. Regi's finally coming in. Cafetu Martin trying to see if they can sneak in here by a little bit of space as Buzzwole comes through. Ice Spikes come on out, but it's going to be the fire spin going on in. Looks like Buzzwole, no, it's Mew that finds the Regis, and now Lunar Guardians are on the back foot yet again, Kyle.
A lot of crowd control for Cafe du Matin. You're teaming up not only that dazzling gleam, the double dazzling gleam from that decorate shield, but also the Suicune. There's just a lot that Luna Guardians really has to deal with, and when you're such a brawly composition, when there's so much CC, it just makes those combinations that much harder. So that's what you saw there. Cafe du Martin really coming alive, teaming up together. But look at this. Regieleki in the top path. We have the Blaziken starting to chip it down.
Knows the rest of the team is here, though, looking for that lock-in, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Good effort from Cafe du Martin to enable that, but Lunar Guardians are looking to answer themselves. They're going to go score plenty of points here in that T1, trying to see if the team can get back to the home pad to defend this, while Subaru tries to put up their own. The rings are let loose, and that's going to be enough here to get that defense in if they can. Revenant Rend is going to come on through. Power Nap from the Snorlax to cause that disruption. Buzzwole's in the flank here, finding the KOs, and that Lecky's gonna walk in. It's literally on the end. The block from Snorlax is massive to push it away. But with that, that's gonna be goodbye to the T2 goal. Cafe du Martin come out on top yet again.
This is what I'm talking about. The amount of crowd control that you have. You have Buzzwole with the combination. You have Suicune. You have the stuns from Gleam, and then Blaziken in its own kit has plenty of shoves. And then on the back side of it, Tano, that Mew is just able to farm for free. There's nothing that can really get on top of it. Not only the amount of maneuverability that the Mew has in its own kit, but just being able to stay alive with this heavy front line. It's just the perfect storm for Luna Guardians to go down. So Cafe du Martin has been winning these big team engages, and not only that, Tano, 4 members down here, and this is a Registeel, over 100-point victory or point lead right now going into Rayquaza, and with a Registeel buff that is going to make this fight that much more difficult for them. They're going to really maybe push their advantage, play a little aggressive. You already see the positioning. They're playing very aggressive. They need to find maybe one pick here, and that could really snowball this team engage. Meanwhile, Snorlax trying to find a way in. Blaziken does find the Hoopa.
Oh, good effort there, trying to see if they can disrupt that, but Buzzwole, oh, goodbye Serena, Blaziken finding that KO, and it looks like they're going to see if they can sneak onto this Rayquaza here. Lunar Guardians, though, they're getting prepared with that Ceruledge in that flank, waiting for the right moment, has to wait for Serena to come back in. They know Cafe du Martin's not going to go for the rip here. They're playing so aggressive that Lunar Guardians has to play back in their central area.
They really do, especially with that Registeel buff that Cafe du Martin has. So that's a lot of extra damage. There is some. We're going to see some Unite moves. Serena goes down. Revenant Rend is out from the Ceruledge. Serena's still the only one down. Buzzwole going in.
Oh, that's going to be it. They're exploding. Lunar Guardians one by one here, buddy. Blaziken finding the double KO. Snorlax trying to put up the defense, but too much damage coming their way. And that's going to be it as Lunar Guardians all fall. Serena is back. Looks like the rip on the Rayquaza is going to come through from Cafe du Martin. They don't need it, but it looks like they're going to make sure that that's taken away from Lunar Guardians. Serena comes in with the Queen Ascendance. They're going to throw up the Supreme from the Alchemy, and that's going to be all she wrote as Buzzwole locks in that Rayquaza.
It's a piece of cake to break a pretty cake for Cafe du Martin. They're going to set up that Alchemy Unite move to ensure that Serena cannot pass through it. Not only that, Hundo Burgers served up fresh, dunking some points on in before this team is going to take the Game 1 victory here. Very well done, very patient. They knew their win condition. They were very aggressive with their plays, especially with that Registeel buff. So I loved what Cafe du Martin did, knowing the way a lot of those late game team fights went. They really put the pressure up.
I do feel like on the side of Lunar Guardians, it was very delayed on the side of Ceruledge coming in to provide that support, but it felt like, you know, Lunar Guardians were getting held in their own central area, and when we did manage to connect on the side of that Revenant Rend, Mew just popped out the Mystical Mirage, and they didn't get anything from it. I think it was probably a little bit delayed at that stage, and Yutao, I mean, you were watching that game, buddy. What's your opinion on how that one went?
Very good for Cafe de Matin. I mean, you talk about that buzzwall, you know, like being like so like valuable in these like kind of matchups, and Blaziken just popped off. And I mean, Luna Guardian were a bit under level, so it was kind of hard for them to fight.
Talk about Blaziken popping off, buddy. 15 KOs locked in there, 31% of the team damage. It did feel like the brawl was too much on the side of Cafe de Martin, and every time somebody tried to approach on that Mew, and you called it, Kyle, they just were unable to get to it to cause enough disruption, and they still lock in 65k damage.
Yeah, and they only took 13. That just goes to really great plays by the front line of Café du Matin. I mean, there's not a lot of games where your mage is only taking less than 15k, so they did a fantastic job. So maybe Luna Guardians maybe needed some sort of speedster to maybe lock on to that Mew, maybe get through a lot of that crowd control. But even then, like, how do you get through all of this crowd control that Café du Matin was throwing out? I mean, Suicune, the Buzzwall, there's just so much to deal with. Like, time and time again, you would find, like, one pick, but then Café du Matin just able to, you know, maybe survive and have just enough to, you know, survive these long team fights and get, like, one or two picks, and then by that time, the rest of the team was able to, you know, get back into the fray.
This was just a masterclass on the Blaziken. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about the CC, buddy. Hashtag buff full heal is pretty much the only answer that I see. But yeah, it was just great. A great approach from Café de Martin. And I think you called it, Yutao. It was just the power of that Blaziken having such a fantastic game paired with the way that Buzzwall was managing to come in with these flanks.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I really like what they did, like Luna Guardian on top. You saw like that Alchemy Unite, and they just combo them with the Armor Rouge, so that they kind of get like zero value out of it. But yeah, that push was kind of hard for Luna Guardian. We saw that Alchemy just popped the ult, killed everyone, and yeah.
This was tough here as well. They used pretty much everything that they possibly could, and even with the springboard being up, it was just too much from Café de Martin. You've got Alchemy there providing way too many shields, way too much CC, Kyle, and there was no way that was going to go except in the goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, masterclass by this team. I mean, you know what the win condition is when you have a 100-point lead. It's defend Rayquaza, maybe find a couple picks to make that job a little bit easier, and they found that one almost immediately on that Serena, and Serena was unable to utilize their Unite move, so they knew that they could push that advantage, so you saw like 1, 2, 3 KOs, so one by one, very well played here at Rayquaza.
The response when we saw that Ceruledge Unite go out from Blaziken was absolutely on time, Yutao. They were right there looking for the KO, and that's where I felt it was maybe a little bit delayed on the side of Lunar Guardians. They looked like they weren't quite sure what to do at that stage.
I mean, it was so hard, like, for them to play. I mean, being like a 15 Zeeken with an Alchemy pocket you and having like Registeel is...
Yeah, it's pretty tough, isn't it? It's quite the matchup. Looks like we're getting ready to go straight on in to the next game here, though. And Lunar Guardians on a bit of a back foot here. They've played really well, but they've had some great matchups in Week 1 and Week 2. They currently have lost both sets. Café du Martin, they've not lost a set yet, though they were taken to that third game in the previous one, Kyle. So it's all about them wanting to continue that win streak here.
And we're going to see a little bit of ban change up. So Café du Matin also going to be on the right side this time, meaning that they are just going to go ahead and ban that Alchemy that they used in game number 1. So very smart. Otherwise, I think Luna Guardians probably picks it, but they do have a lot of options to take here.
Will it be the Charizard as a first pick?
Whoa.
Yutao, tell us about that, buddy, because I don't know. I feel like, yeah, the Unite move is fantastic. Is it first pick worthy?
Yeah, I think it can be first pick. I mean, they banned Rapidash, and So I think it's fair to first pick Zard. I think it's a pretty good first pick.
I like it. This is what I like to see on the back of these patches that we see, Kyle. So Blissey and Mew are going to be the lock-in for Cafe du Martin. I mean, Mew putting in an absolute shift. It's no surprises that they're gonna lock that in for the first pick.
Yeah, I mean, Mew is incredibly powerful, especially if you have a good pilot, and I think they've got that pilot down. I'm also liking this Blissey pick. I think Blissey being on the table, there's so many options that you have. Depending on how the enemy wants to line up their composition, I think still Safeguard Helping Hand is incredibly powerful. But if you do have a lot of, chip damage, range damage dealers, you could definitely still see that egg build being very valuable. So we'll see what they end up going with, but I do like the Serena pick along with the tree. I think those are incredible picks as well.
Will we see the Inteleon come out to play? We haven't seen it just yet. Now it looks like they're going to go away from that, try and find another ranged attacker, and it's going to be the Chandelure. We've seen a little bit of it in these weeklies so far for this league, and I think, again, one of those Pokemon where it does high damage, but really, really squishy, right, Utah?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Chandelure. I think like that one is like so strong and so cool to play. I'm actually surprised that no one picked Lax. I think it's I'm actually surprised, but yeah, I'm kind of curious what that Chandelure is gonna do.
It's one of those, isn't it, where will we go for Overheat, will they go for Flamethrower? I love Flamethrower. I think it's such a great move. Like, the 2-second cooldown when you hit someone, you can output a huge amount of damage, and then having that Unite move to just burn through and give that sort of blinding effect for the 2 seconds or so, it's going to be pretty good here, but they are coming up against Mbappe on that Dodrio, so I don't know, that's going to be their number one target, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they have Slowbro, so...
Yeah. Slowbro coming out for this action as well. I like this draft. It's different from the first one. We had a very brawl-heavy game in the first one, but now we've got some ranged attackers, and they're going to have to really protect those Pokemon. And you called it, we see a speedster coming onto the field here. It is Cafe du Martin taking it, not Luna, but they're going to try and really lock in on that ranged attacker.
Yeah, I think I think you said it is... Speedster, its job is going to take out that Chandelure. It's a Pokemon that is very strong in brawly composition, so I like that gutter pick, but we'll see how it plays out here in game number 2. Cafe du Martin on your right side, Luna Guardians on your left side. We're going to see this Gibble along with the Hoopa take that top path, meanwhile Slowpoke along with that Litwick down in the bot.
I do think it's going to be interesting because Dodrio's going to have to play around that Charizard. Of course, having that sure hit with that Unite move can really limit what a Dodrio can do in those team fights.
Great last hitting ability by that Slowpoke, holding their water gun to secure. I think that's going to be a very good win here, especially when you have a Bound Suite on the bottom side. A little bit unusual composition. You don't normally see that that top laner, that all-rounder being played in the bot side. And it is a Pokemon that does struggle quite a bit until it gets its level 6. So it is going to be quite key here for Luna to maybe take away a lot of these last hits.
Ooh, they do manage to sneak that one. That's going to be pretty good for Cafe du Martin. And of course, the issue is Luna Guardians, if they do get that early level onto this Litwick, they do get access to that fire. But no, it's going to be Dodrio that comes in and finds that first KO. And now, goodbye bottom lane. Dominant showing from Cafe du Martin.
I think you kind of have to expect that. You got to expect the jungle gank from that bottom, or to that bottom path when you need to get your level 6 on this Bound Suite. Or I guess now Steenie, very close to Serena, nearly a half level away. And you have a big win here, which means Dodrio has the full ability to invade that left side of the map.
That's going to be tough for Luna Guardians. Of course, they want to get Charizard on the field as soon as possible. Not going to be an easy matchup trying to break those ankles. But Dodrio has got plenty to be able to get around and find that KO. It's got 3 heads, Kyle. It's got plenty of speed. And it's going to find that KO with Mew finding the Gabite.
Yeah, definitely breaking ankles. It only has 2, but like you said, 3 heads. Definitely better than 1 here with that try attack. Nearing level 8 at the 8-minute mark. And Luna Guardians is taking full advantage. They've also taken all that center area Altaria family. So look at these levels, Tano. You have that level 8 on that Dodrio, level 7 on Serena, which is a level higher than anything that Luna Guardians has on the map right now. And a level 8 Serena is going to be incredibly powerful to deal with. Going to look to try to take down this Garchomp. Garchomp does get to safety for the time being, but not before Serena is able to take out the supporter.
Yeah, finally gets that Citrus Berry. Charmeleon trying to go on in, but the dash is going to get them away as Cafe Du Martin continue to keep the pressure on. They break that bottom pad. They take down the mighty Slowbro. We finally do have this Chandler looking to get that final Evo, but Dodrio is not going to let them get it.
Oh, they definitely don't. They also steal away that experience from them. So Dodrio also going to be I'm not sure if they were stacking, but if they are, they certainly have gotten some of that attack. Level 10, also Basement Reggie going to be likely the play here as we have a big fight breaking out. Charizard being the first pin to fall in the top pass. So it is absolute chaos for the Guardians as a lot of these goal zones are going down already.
Now, listen, we do look at this comp for Cafe Du Martin, definitely more of an early stage comp for some of it with the Dodrio and Mew. On the side of Luna Guardians, Kyle, it is very late game, right? Chandeler's got to get those free Evo, so does the Garchomp, so does the Charizard, so they just have to survive these early stages, and it's only 185 points that Cafe Du Martin have scored. Now we need to see some comeback. Triple Trample's going to come on out here. Dodrio finds that one KO. The eject button is going to go over the wall, but still, Dodrio finds the KO.
Blissey, along with the Dodrio, attached to the hip of this Dodrio, and for good reasons, right? You definitely want to keep this Pokemon scaling as much as possible. It's already level 11, looking for a little bit more of a score. I think that the Regieleki found a home in T2 and is also going down.
Well, forget what I just said. 296 points now. It's definitely becoming a little bit much for Luna Guardians to find. But they do have Garchomp on the field with that Unite move. Not far off having the Ignite Midnight for the Chandelure Eva. It's going to be about grabbing some experience with scoring some points and trying to lock in these next objectives.
Oh, Telekinesis on Slowbro. A little bit different. We're going to see maybe one push here on this bottom path. It's all 5 members of Luna Guardians looking to try to maybe make something happen. 17 from Slowbro, but here comes Dodrio.
Phantom Forest is going to go on up. Livid Outrage is going to come out from the Garchomp. Doesn't manage to connect realistically on anyone as Dodrio breaks the ankles and comes on through. There's the Solar Beam from Mew, but Cafe Du Martin have the defense until Seismic Slam comes through from Charizard. Trying to see if they can break down Dodrio, but Triple Trample is going to get them out of that position. And now they clean up the rest, buddy, with the Tri-Attack. Hooper lets the rings loose, but Mew is here to lock down the beams through as well. Eagle trying to push up the Flux Zone for the Dodrio, but it's not enough as Blissey finds the KO.
I mean, you find some KOs here. I was gonna say this might have been probably a good thing for for Luna Guardians, but they do lose that Charizard, so very unfortunate. I think overall, it was very beneficial to find those KOs. They found the Serena, they found, I believe, the Trevenant, so that was good amount of comeback experience, but losing your Charizard to that level 14 Dodrio is gonna be really tough to deal with. So right now, 4 minutes left in this match. Dodrio is going to be all over the map like they have been. They're going to be looking for a KO, and they see this Charizard.
Queen Ascendance is going to go on up to Eagle here. Now they're just going to dive in on the rest. That's going to be a massive Living Outrage, though, as they connect on free, grouping up Cafe Du Martin, but it's going to be Dodrio that once again puts that team fight to bed. Serena trying to see if they can get out of this position. Tri-Attack continues to rain on through. If they take down the Garchomp, that will be massive, and yes, they do. And they manage to get Cafe Du Martin on the retreat here as Charizard tries to chase down Serena. Looks like they're going to get away. No, they don't. That is huge for Charizard, Kyle.
That is. Now that, oh, look at this big Unite move onto the Dodrio. Dodrio gets away with the Triple Trample, but Hoopa is able to stun them. That is a massive catch here for Luna Guardians.
Oh my god, that's the experience that they need, buddy. If they can take down Blissey as well, the overheat comes through from the Chandelier. Level 13 on Charizard now, and yeah. definitely in a much better position as Trevenant tries to put up a good defense here to allow Mew to get out. They do get back down there and they have to use Phantom Forest. They'll have it back for Rayquaza, but what an effort from Lunar Guardians to get themselves back in this game, Kyle.
Yeah, level 13 on the Charizard, and now you have your all-rounder and Garchomp nearing that as well. So, not all is lost, but, I mean, it is still a mountain to climb up for if you are Luna Guardians. There is that base Regieleki that is looming in the top path that they'll either have to defend. I like what Cafe du Martin is doing, and they're just kind of stalling this out for the time being.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to put a lot of pressure onto Lunar Guardians. You just want to make sure you can get this as close to that 2-minute mark as you possibly can. It's going to reset, though, and it seems like they want to go for KOs instead here, but as they nearly pick up the Charizard, Dodrio in a sticky situation manages to get out. It's the issue of the lock-in of that overheat.
15 seconds until Rayquaza, and it looks like Regieleki maybe marching towards that home goal zone. So that is a win condition for Cafe du Martin. Already have a significant point lead. They also now have this Registeel buff for a majority of the game. I mean, there's only going to be about 30 seconds left on that. They have a couple options. They could potentially go for the rip here, and I think they are going to go ahead and chipping down this Rayquaza.
I love the way Lunar Guardians has played this, though. Leave the hoop in the central area, pull out the Unite move, see if you can lock in the Rayquaza. Oh, but it's going to be Serena that finds the KO, just slightly off with the timing. And now, Cafe du Martin just locking the KOs across the board to Lunar Guardians. Charizard is going to put up one heck of a fight, but Hundo Burgers are going to rain on in now, Kyle. I liked the way Lunar Guardians tried to respond to that, but the rip was just too much.
It was definitely a good call, right? I mean, you definitely had a shot there. I thought maybe the side beam from Hoopa may have had a chance to get that last hit, but Serena was able to close the door. I mean, valiant effort at the end game there. Just very unfortunate for Luna Guardians of, really allowing that Dodrio to get off to that massive lead. I did like, kind of the resiliency that they showed throughout. They didn't give up, which is obviously always big. They were able to find a couple of really big picks in some pivotal moments throughout that match. So it definitely was a lot closer than I think maybe like the first 3 minutes led you to believe that it was going to be.
Yeah, 100%. It's one of those where Lunar Guardians knew they were on the back foot at that Rayquaza. You have to defend the Lecky going into your home pad. As you said, that is the win condition. You've got no way around it. So they had to recognize that they're going to go for the rip on Rayquaza. We need to make sure that we've got a way to respond to it. It was just one of those where a little bit earlier, a little bit later, and you'd have been able to find that KO. So Cafe du Martin are going to lock in this 2-0 victory against Lunar Guardians, and they're going to continue to progress through this European League without losing a single set yet.
Luna Guardians still looking for that W column, but unable to find it here in this set. So they are going to have to go back to the drawing board. I think game 1 was definitely a very strong game for them. Game 2, maybe not as much, but they still showed a lot of promise. I think maybe this is a team to watch as we kind of progress through the league. And this is kind of like what we were talking about, right? Like teams that may get off to a little bit of a slow start, but have a lot of good pieces. If they're able to stay resilient like they were in game number 2, it's just a matter of time before they find their way into that win column.
Yeah, 100%. Now, Utah, what do you think about that game, buddy? Let me know your thoughts. Was there anything that surprised you as that went ahead?
Out of this early game, we saw that he ganked bot and just killed the bot lane, and after that he just invade and just do his job as a speedster. But I like the fact that Luna Guardians try they got the good picks on the dojo. They even kill him, and yeah.
Do we think that maybe with Lunar Guardians comp here, it does seem quite late game heavy, or mid to late game, I guess. Having 3 Pokemon with 3 Evo stages, that's a bit much, isn't it?
It's pretty hard, but I think, I don't think that their early game is that bad. They have Hoopa, they have Slowbro, Chandelure. They just need kind of play safe and with their low yeah, just try to play safe.
Well, Dodrio definitely did not let that happen, Kyle. They were very dominant in that game, I mean, we were talking about how Nagiri was going to be their pick. Actually, it turned out the entire team was the pick for Dodrio.
Yeah, Dojrio definitely got off to a quick start and never really looked back. I mean, they're at one point, I think this point, they're 3 levels ahead of everybody in Lions, so it's just really tough. And I think they did what you're supposed to do when you have that lead, and that's really put the pressure on the enemy side of the goal zone. But that does come with a potential cost, and you see that here. It gets caught, 30-second KO timer, and you see the levels absolutely skyrocket in that moment for Luna Guardians.
What a way to get yourself back into the game, and you called it, Utah, is one of those where you found the pick and now you're back into it. Of course, when final stretch is around, those points aren't going to make that much of a difference. It's all about how you play Rayquaza here, but they were up the back foot, weren't they? They were having to defend that Lecky and really trying to wait to get that approach on Rayquaza.
I feel like it's so hard, like when they got like the win con with the Lecky and like play the Rayquaza. Like it's so hard for the team that like being in this position, even when they have Hoopa, it's hard.
It feels like they've done everything that they possibly could in that moment. You know, they've used their Unite move from Hooper to try and save it a little bit, and there's not much more that they could do. Luna Guardians, they feel like they're putting up a really strong fight in every single game they're coming into, but they've just come up against competition that manages to find the answer every single time, chat. So they're still looking for their first victory in these sets. Now we're going to head to a quick break while we get the next one ready for you. Grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a snack. We'll be back with you very shortly. Howdy trainers, welcome back to this third set of action that we've got going on here. It's going to be Me Familiar versus Oblivion. That's the one that I'm most excited about. This is going to be a very hotly contested game, Kyle.
I mean, I'm excited to see it. The first two sets, first one went to a 3-game series. The second set was a 2-0 sweep. I think if we're going on trends, maybe this one will be a 3-game, and then we'll go with a 2-0 for the final match. But I'm excited. I think what we've seen today has been really jam-packed with action. The last set definitely being very exciting at moments, but, you know, one team was the clear victor. I'm excited to see if these teams are going to be a little bit even or if it will be a blowout one way or another.
Well, this is the matchup that's going to be electric. Utah, Me Familiar currently on the top of the leaderboard. Oblivion still looking for that first set win.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty exciting. I'm so excited for this match.
Blissey getting banned out from the get-go
Blissey.
here. Let's see what Christo wants to do. Snorlax response by Oblivion. By the way, Christo, probably one of the best water bears we've seen in EU region, Kyle. So look out for that.
Ooh, okay, water bear. I mean, definitely not on the top tier of all-rounders, but I think in the right hands, it can be incredibly powerful, especially if it has an advantageous position in the composition. Now we're going to see some of the final bans, that Galarian Rapidash that we've been seeing a little bit today, and then a Trevenant. So a little bit of a shift in the meta. We're seeing tanks being the priority bans now instead of supports.
Yeah, it's quite surprising, that one. Why Utah? But the ho-ho is definitely not going to be surprising that Me Familiar want to look for. I mean, thinking about that Trevenant ban, of course, they do have, people like Jose on the other side, maybe trying to target that over here.
Yeah, they wanna talk about the Ghatlue. It's I think it's one of the best Trevenant or the best Trevenant in EU. So I'm not surprised. But Suicune and Charizard are open. So maybe they're gonna pick it.
Double combo, the Wham Bam. Kuro's going to lock in Suicune, Vizid with the Alchemy as well. Now, let's see what Me Familiar want to answer with here, Kyle. Aaron has been the ranged attacker that locks in that Inteleon so often. Doesn't look like we're going to see that action here as they look to shake around and see what they want to pick up.
There are a lot of options that they could be playing around with. I like the call of maybe seeing a Charizard once again. That seems like it's been pretty fun pick. But Aaron is going to give up that pick to a Hoopa. And we are going to see Crustle come to the Thea Sky Ruins. New Pokemon that are maybe not new Pokemon, but newly reworked in the sense that its bugs have been fixed. I know it is one of the few bug types in the game, but the bugs to Rock Tomb fixed. So no one is going to be walking through those walls, meaning this Pokemon has renewed life in the Thea Sky Ruins.
Crystal has a 30% pick rate and an 80% win rate with it. So I like this pickup. Now, what I do also like here, Volto locks in the Metagross. Utah, I feel like Metagross has for a little while been a really dominant all-rounder. It loves to go up against those defenders and all-rounders, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. He can get all this shell with the gyro ball. So that was very good in this condition.
And we see some more of this Greninja action as well. We've been seeing quite a bit of that here in the EU region. I mean, I saw Weekend lock it in as a first pick in one of the recent Unity Clash matches, and I was like, wait, is that legit? I said to Shivam, and Shivam was like, yeah, it's legit. It's the Weekend. So I like this from the EU region. I want to see more of those comfortable picks. And Christo, he knows I love Absol. He'll know I'm casting this game. Last time he messaged me and was like, yeah, I picked the Absol because you was casting. So I can't wait to see what Oblivion do with this one here, Kyle.
I mean, I think Absol is definitely one of these safer speedsters. It's still incredibly powerful, but it has a lot of utility, a lot of escapability. And it can even help shred down bulkier compositions, which is what you see here. You have that Crustle, you have that Ho-Oh, along with a Hoopa that can be quite tanky once it gets those rings unbound.
Now, Aaron has gone for the Miraidon here, rather than that Inteleon that they love to play, Utah. So that kind of highlights, doesn't it, how that bug is really affecting that player, and they want to lock in the Miraidon here. I suspect it's going to be the charge beam, right? So it's quite interesting that that one bug completely changes the way a comp works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the bug is very, very detrimental to those sniper picks of that Inteleon. And with a speedster on the map, or at least available at that time, probably not going to see anything like a Decidueye because that Pokemon does struggle into a lot of those speedsters. I do like the Miraidon pick into that Metagross. I didn't see if they got the cursed item on there, but that could definitely help slow down, kind of the regeneration of the alchemy that we have. But also, it's just really good. The one thing you have to look out for on that Miraidon is going to be that Absol as well as that Greninja. But let's get into game number 1.
Here we go. They're actually giving that first little bit of farm over to the Leafeon, of course, to try and enable them to come into lane before that 9-minute mark. They had the recent changes with the farm experience that you can get from the central area. So, good way to see Mia Familia judging that and changing that one up here, Kyle.
Hey, Bubble is secure from this little Froakie. Although, a good stun from the Dwebble, unable to convert on that last hit from that Miraidon, so Oblivion is going to take full advantage. Not only that, but they're also able to grab that bottom one of their own, so early on, Oblivion taking full advantage, and they're going for an invade here.
Oh, Jose connects and also finds the damage onto Cristo. That's going to be Jose doing what Jose does best, takes the farm away. And Leafeon coming into your lane at 9:30 is so scary, Kyle.
Gonna steal a Citrus Berry as well for good measure. They're gonna contest a little bit of Pokemon, but hey, hand in the cookie jar, caught out by the Suicune.
That's massive for Oblivion, sending Kuro up, knowing as soon as that central area has been invaded, they were going to go to the top side, and now they've got 4 here to try and do this. The stun comes through onto the side of Cristo, but they're looking for the KO here. They managed to find the Dwebble, but Ho-Ho being back on this pad is going to be too much for them to try and take down.
I like Oblivion doing exactly what they wanted to in that top path, and that has enabled a little bit of a push down here in the central area. So they didn't want to extend too much on the T1, but they are going to find a big play here in the central area.
Jose still manages to take down Cristo, though, so it doesn't all work to the tune of Oblivion, and that is a way to keep yourself in this game, because the answer was you've got to limit Jose being able to get these buffs and get back in for these KOs.
They're going to press forward 3 members on the top path. Hoopa, it is going to be a hyperspace hole, so a lot of regeneration for this bulky composition. I really like it, but they're fighting over this Altaria family.
Yeah, daddy in your face with that Ho-Ho just enables this charge beam to come through and find some quick KOs. Cristo is going to take down Leafeon again. The shield is massive here, but Crustle manages to find them, I believe. No, they don't. They get away, as it's going to be Alchemy that finds that one. Mi Familia does take down Metagross, but right now it is back and forth in these lanes, Kyle.
Absol living there was certainly a crime of some sort. I don't know how they got out, and now Ho-Oh is going to be paying a little bit of revenge for its fallen bug brother. Absol still hovering this T1 goal zone, but I think Mi Familia has going to be very happy with the way that this early game has played out for them. They've found massive KO after massive KO, and there's a couple more.
Wow, Jabari managing to throw up that wall, just gets that lock in, and Leafeon is taking control of that top side as well. Double KO for them, double KO for Miraidon as Aaron locks that through, and this is going to be Mia Familia taking charge of this bottom lane, taking this Regice as free real estate.
We're going to be able to chunk this down pretty quickly with the Ho-Oh and that Miraidon. They have a potential here to maybe score onto that T1 goal zone. But look at this. Nice play from Leafeon is going to secure that Regieleki for Mia Familia, and maybe a push to boot.
Oh, some illegal movement coming in there, knowing exactly when to throw out that leaf to take the lock in. Now the Lecky rolls on through. Midnight Slash is going to come out, manages to find the KO onto Jose, but the points and the damage has been done. Crustle goes down as well. Rekindled Flame is going to come on through, bringing up the rock. Just answers for Cristo to find a triple KO as they look to take down Ho-Ho, but look at the damage that Daddy absorbs.
Yeah, only a single target to revive because they had just deposited some points, and not always the best revival there. But Absol going down is a nice prize for this Miraidon, who picks up a double KO. Ho-Oh, going to be taking a third. It is that Suicune that goes down.
feels like Mia Familia have the advantage at the moment. They've got more levels and they've got more points. That Jose managing to keep slightly ahead of Cristo here is the difference for this team. Good Ninja's going to be caught out. They do manage to sneak away with a little bit of help, but of course that means they're doing more damage here as they try and connect through onto the Crustle. They go back to the home pad and they're not going to come back. They're going to use that springboard.
This Hoopa is resetting the team at the exact right moment. In the top path, it's going quite well for Mia Familia as they are depositing even more points into that T2 goal zone. And we have a basement Reggie that's going to be spawning in about 25 seconds. And they're finding a ton of damage already.
Yeah, that they are. It's pretty good for the side of Mia Familia at the moment, though, as it seems like it's really tough for them to break through these lines, and it's working for them as Rebel Rouser comes through from Durare here. They're going to rain down the Meteor Storm as well. Daddy Leon putting up the defense here on the side of Ho-Ho with that Metagross in their face. They're going to come through with the Compute and Crush. No Stadium goes up, though, buddy, and they let the rings loose on the side of Hooper. Looking for these KOs. They managed to take down the Greninja, but there we go. Miraidon has taken as well. Suicune falling, and it seems like non-stop damage raining down from Mia Familia. Manages to take out Oblivion as Cristo tries to see if they can get it with a Midnight Slash, and that's what they do. Huge for Absol.
Absol absolutely needed that play there, and they got it. A little bit more than halfway through this match. One thing that I'm watching here, and I think it's so important, is Mia Familia getting off to that massive lead. You have two former EX Pokemon that utilize their Eos energy, so it's important that they have this lead because it may be much more difficult to deposit points late game. So, especially with that Ho-Oh with the reviving and then the passive ability from Miraidon. So, right now, a little bit more than a 150-point lead. That's exactly what they need to be doing and exactly what they've been continuing this game.
Trying to see if Kuro can sneak out here. A lot of damage raining on through. Emerald two-step to annihilate Metagross, and they look for more. Kyle, this is ridiculous. They do run into Cristo, though, and that is definitely Cookie hand in the jar as they get caught out.
That's a massive KO. Level 14 on that Leafeon, so Absol taking that one means that they are now level 13. And they're going to chunk down this Regieleki. Ho-Oh going to put a little bit of pressure. Another Unite move from Absol is going to secure that Regieleki for Oblivion, but not before a lot of damage rains the other way. But no KOs found. This Miraidon is farming quite a bit.
There we see the endless ice spikes coming through. That's going to be enough for Oblivion to find the KOs. It's a triple coming out here for Ninja. Points rain through. They're managing to cut down this score lead. Oblivion have managed to sneak their way back into this game as we're 55 seconds away from Rayquaza.
Yeah, 159-240 the scoreline right now. 20 seconds, we have a basement Reggie, and both T1 goal zones are up down there, so either team could look to potentially push this one. I would love to see Oblivion, knowing that they are a bit down in this game, maybe have some sort of buff going into Rayquaza. The win condition for them is either Rayquaza or they could find it is less than a 100-point difference between these two squads. So, we'll see what happens, but it is a Reggie steal, which is a huge buff either way, but we have Absol looking for another secure.
This might be the Rayquaza fight here, buddy. We're 13 seconds away. It's going to be Leafeon that manages to find it, and Oblivion makes the wise decision to not make that the Ray fight, but then they dive on in here. It's going to be Rebel Rouser that comes out from Jirawe. Has to use the Midnight Slash on the side of Cristo, and despite Alchemy using their Unite move, they don't come out on top. It's going to be a triple KO here for Jose as they look for more. Vazid getting so weak on the side of the Alchemy. Metagross with a good defense, but so many on the side have been wiped out, and now they just rip the Rayquaza on the side of Familia. Can they do it in time as we see the approach coming in here? They do take it with the Hooper, and that's going to be all she wrote as they can just sneak in some more points.
Great tempo play. They found the KOs. They got a couple Pokemon very low, and then Hoopa makes a beeline towards that central area so they can start going ahead and ripping that Rayquaza off the map. And like you said, that's all she wrote. That's all they did. And Mia Familia taking game number 1 here in this set.
Okay, so, I mean, they managed to sneak their way back into that game, but it was at that final moment going for that basement Reggie. It seems like they went for the approach. We're trying to see if they can find the KO onto the Crustle, but of course, Rebel Rouser is going to come through. You're not going to get a KO that quickly, and then that was it. All Mia Familia had to do was lock in into that fight at that moment.
There's still a little bit of time here, so there's potential for a, maybe a throw, so they are going to back up. I really do like this. Absol looking for a way in, the charge being raining damage, and that, oh no, Tano, that might be all she wrote.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way of coming back against that, unfortunately, as we see Oblivion fall here, and that's going to be the ace. So Oblivion still looking for that first win here on in regards to their weekly battles, and a great effort from these defenders on the side of Mia Familia. Daddy Leon was so difficult to take down. They really managed to hold up a lot of the damage on the side of Oblivion, Kyle.
572 now with a extra 100 points. It's going to make it 672. So it is a good win here for Mia Familia. And kind of like what we were talking about, this double former EX composition. It's a little scary if you get behind, but it's not something that Mia Familia had to worry about. They played with pressure essentially that entire game, so that they didn't necessarily need to worry about Rayquaza, but they were able to take it anyway.
I mean, it was at the 9-10 mark that Jose came in, stole that buff away from Cristo and found the KO, but he then went into the lane, managed to take a Citrus Berry away, score some points. So straight from the get-go, Mia Familia were really aggressive, and because of that, it gave them a decent lead for this Ho-Ho and for Aaron to be able to lock in and really get the levels that they were looking for. And then from that point on, it is definitely a mountain to climb for anyone to take them out.
And we're looking at the damage numbers throughout. 92k from the Absol leading the charge. But the charge that I'm most interested in was that charge beam from Miraidon, 84k and only taken 20. So that Miraidon was very much protected from the heavy line of that Crustle, along with the Ho-Oh, and then even Hoopa being able to reset the team on cooldown.
Utah, buddy, I mean, that was quite an intense game, but it did feel like Mia Familia managed to get themselves in the lead from the early and kind of locked in from that point on.
Yeah, I love that what Jose did. He got so much value with those leaf ult, and this is actually my first time seeing Ho top lane. So I think it was kind of good. He got so much value with Ho. We saw how annoying it was to deal with his the Miraidon range and the whole flamethrower. And yeah, I mean they did great.
Was a really good matchup. I mean, it was a good effort from Oblivion as well. They were finding some really important KOs, and Cristo's come out here with 92k. I mean, most of that's probably thrown onto Daddy Leon on the Ho-Ho, but it was a great effort from them. They managed to really bounce back in those final few moments, right? They got a really good pick onto Jose as they tried to push into that T2, managing to get Cristo to level 15 before Rayquaza, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, that's always very important. That level 15 is incredibly powerful, and especially on a speedster, right? That means that you're able to most likely 1v1 a majority of the targets that they had, and you saw it time and time again. Being able to take those 1v1 matchups, especially with a Unite move like Emerald 2-Step that just has such a low cooldown. I mean, you're able to find those important picks in the right moment.
I mean, this highlights here, doesn't it, Yuto, just how hard Ho-Ho can be to take down. It's level 9 there, and it just continues to have a health bar no matter what they throw at it.
It looks like Ho was so unkillable.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think it was such a great matchup. Daddy Leon knew exactly where to put the Ho-Ho, just to put themselves in the way of anyone else. It was a good effort from Cristo here to lock that in with the Unite move, but just put their body in the way of the damage coming to their ranged attacker was such a great play by Daddy Leon. As we see them here trying to sneak in some points, a good effort there to take that away. And this is where Oblivion managed to find some important KOs and get themselves back into this with a great effort. They cut down this score lead, level 14 now on Absol as we're a minute away from Ray. This is where they could have really flipped the game on its head, Kyle.
They really could have. I mean, this was a valiant push from this squad, and I thought for sure they were going to find some massive plays there. Just, it fell a little bit short. They found a couple KOs, but I loved this play from Hoopa to bring the team into the Rayquaza knowing that they had a player advantage.
Trying to sneak in there on the side of Metagross, but the stun, it's too much. They weren't able to find it, and that's going to be it. A good push back, though, from Oblivion, but of course, it was just way too much tanking on the side of Mia Familia to break through that line.
It's just a lot, right? And this is game number 2 that we are going into draft for. And already we're seeing some of the bans come out. So Heavy CC Pokemon with that Trevenant is going to get that first ban slot. And Mia Familia, knowing the power of this Ho-Oh, they are going to ban it themselves, knowing that this could be a potential first pick.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you limit Durare with the Trevenant, of course, taking that away, but still putting in an absolute shift on the side of that Crustle, right, Yuto?
Yeah, I mean the Crustle was so annoying to play against, so yeah. I'm actually curious of what they're gonna first pick. I mean, like Zard is open, Lax, Suicune, no, Suicune is banned actually. So I'm curious. Yeah, they're gonna go with Lax. It's not surprised.
I think it's a wise decision as Mia Familia look to answer back, maybe bringing out the Charizard for a bit more action. We've not seen too much Umbreon, a couple of games, but not as much as it's been in recent metas, so it's going to be Blissey locked in for the get-go here, and it looks like it's going to be the Charizard as well, Kyle.
Ooh, I mean, I really like Charizard right now. We saw it a couple of times today, but I'm excited to see it more and more. I think the buffs to it are really strong, and if you're able to, pair it with something very powerful on the support team like Blissey, I think it's gonna make it that much more tough to take down.
All right, Oblivion locking in the Alchemy and the Armor Rouge kind of gives you a bit of insight as to where their comp is going to go. I'm gonna continue to love the Armor Rouge. I hope they don't nerf it.
I do too.
I don't know how you feel about it, buddy, but I just love the way that this Armor Rouge is used in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I really like even with Alchemy, like it's a pair of the well. So I hope they're not nerfed. Ooh, and we saw like Vino.
I love that we both have the exact same response there, but Jose locks in the Venusaur. Now, do we expect Petal? Do we expect Beam? I'm thinking Beam, just because of the way that they've built that, and also you're looking for the ranged attacker, aren't you?
I think so, yeah. I think Beam into Alchemy and then a likely Fire Spin Armor Rouge is going to be so tough for it because Armor Rouge definitely wants to be up in your face. So I think Mia Familia, I really am liking this draft.
Yeah, Utah, what do you think? Because I love the pick by Aaron there. They see what they're up against, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love what they did. I mean, we saw like that Oblivion have literally like full melee comps, like 0 range. So I really like this 990's Vino gonna like poke them with Solar Beam. Oh yeah, I mean, early game is pretty tough, but
it's one of those where like Oblivion have got like it's very oppressive melee, isn't it? Of course, Christo's going to be diving in on that Mimikyu. It's very oppressive melee that they're going to be getting close on. But the answer from Mia Familia here, utilizing that Alolan Ninetales to push them back, get the freezes through. Crustle as well, trying to disrupt them. I think it's a really good counter pick here.
Incredible counter pick. I mean, I'm a big Venusaur fan. I think it's strong in a lot of different ways. I don't know. I don't know if we are gonna see the Beam. I love Beam. I think like into some teams it works. The only problem with Venusaur and I guess Bulbasaur, it's more on Bulbasaur, is that the early game is quite tough, right? You don't have great last hitting. You don't have really good smite. Like you can't burn down the wild Pokemon, so that's kind of where it does struggle a bit, but we will see it here in game number 2. Mia Familia on the right side, Oblivion down 1-0. They're going to need to win this if they want to send it to a game 3.
Let's see, it's going to be the Buzzwole in the top lane with the Alchemy, no surprises. It's going to be the Dwebble taken up here with this Alolan Ninetales. Now, they do get an early evolution, so it's a good early stage here for Mia Familia.
Yeah, Snorlax putting on a little bit of pressure against this poor little Chansey. We're going to see it start to come through. Unfortunately for them, it is not going to result in a ton. I mean, the burn... Oh, wait, the burn gets them. That's crazy.
Wow, that's massive for Charcadet. They get the double as well, buddy. The burn just showing how good it can be in Pokemon Unite. And now Oblivion, they kind of have control of this bottom lane.
Really do. Yeah, putting a ton of pressure on. You also have your level 5 evolution on this Armor Rouge, so early on, it has been all them, and that's kind of what we were talking about. This Venusaur pick does struggle a little bit early on, and it does go to the top path where it's going to try to find some value.
Christo manages to find a KO. They're getting pretty weak here, though, and he's going to be hit through from Aaron as well. Good damage coming from the Venusaur, or the Bulba at the moment, and then they do manage to find a KO onto the Buzzwole. Actually, the Ivysaur coming out on top here, but as they rain in points on the side of Mia Familia and get themselves really in this game in the top side.
Alchemy is going to try to salvage something with a little bit of A-press pressure. But we are seeing the Giga Drain on this Venusaur, so it is very possible that we will see Petal, but I can potentially even see a Giga Beam build, because I still think that still has some potential here. As you see on the bottom portion of your screen, you're seeing a little bit of a fight there, and Chansey still struggling to get online.
See, you're a big fan of the Venusaur. I love Raid Boss Venusaur.
I love
Petal Dance, buddy. So I'm kind of hoping for that, especially for the brawl. But here at the 8-minute mark, a lot of this farm is going to be taken by Oblivion as they lock in that with Mimikyu coming on through and rotate into the top side, looking for some KOs here.
Gonna try to find a little bit. Eject button burned by the Crustle. Crustle getting burned by the rest of Oblivion, and this is the push. Mimikyu is going to go look for this Venusaur. They find him. Here we go. Oblivion pushing this T1.
This is the early game that we were talking about that Utah mentioned. Definitely feeling better for Oblivion here, utilizing Christo to get some quick KOs, but they make the wise decision to not continue pushing that. When you've got that Alolan Ninetales there and you're all pushing that one area, buddy, it's really hard to find the KOs with that freeze.
5 members all hovering this top path. Buzzwole left alone in the bottom path to stack up. And that could be very problematic if it gets online. So you have to be very cautious here if you're a Mia Familia. You don't want to let that thing ramp up too far. You want to put a little bit of pressure on here, and they are putting pressure on this T1 goal zone.
I love how it's kind of like opposite day. We just see the Buzzwole getting all their stacks in the bottom lane rather than usually in the top lane where they're left. Mia Familia putting a lot of importance up here, trying to find some KOs and see if they can take the Regieleki. A good heavy slam comes through with the block as well from Snorlax, but Jiraiya gets the eject button over the wall and they get themselves through. Psycho Boom comes through, doesn't find enough with it as they try and close in around them now. Good effort from this combo from the Alolan Ninetales, and that's going to be a double KO coming out, triple KO coming out for Jose.
And they still have their Unite move to use, so massive plays here from this Venusaur, so that's not what you want to see if you're Oblivion. Kind of getting everybody online, and this Venusaur is starting to cook. You get a Regieleki as well, which could be very problematic for Oblivion. They have a slight point lead, or a slight point deficit to make up, and these levels could get really problematic very quickly.
Nearly having Snow Globe on the side of Aaron as well. It's just Buzzwole here at the moment against the Crustle, pushed up against the wall. The combo from the Alolan Ninetales doesn't find the KO just yet, but they're going to take all of this farm, and now Snow Globe is ready to go for Mia Familia. The team fight ability of this team has just skyrocketed, Kyle.
Yeah, we're going to be maybe fighting over this T1 goal zone, looking for a push. Level advantage is starting to even up. But Crustle is going to be forced to use an eject button directly into the Mimikyu Unite move. Crustle trying to find their Unite move, but unable to get it. So, nice little push here from Oblivion.
Ooh, Jose continues to throw these beams through, and that just means Oblivion are going to be on the back foot. Alchemy is going to have to use their moves to keep their team in this fight, and it's whether they can shield and heal enough against the damage that's raining through, using it to poke into these bushes and get a bit of vision on where Oblivion are.
You see them fight over this central area. Maybe it's just the supporters trying to grab some vision. Nice X-Scissor from Crustle there. Met by a little bit of resistance. There's no real objectives to fight over right now halfway through the match. It's been a little bit of a stalemate down in this bottom path. Both teams really prioritizing, but look at this. We got a big engage.
There, Buzzwole's going to come through, manages to find Rare, and that's going to be huge, not having your defender here, but Aaron was, and they pair that up to the Verdant Anger. Power Nap comes out from Snorlax. Good disruption onto the side of Mia Familia. There goes the Mimikyu as well. Play with me, says Christo. Doesn't find the KO with it. Seismic Slam's going to come through from Charizard as they look for these KOs. There's the Snow Globe from Aaron, and they take down the Snorlax. Psycho Boom from afar comes in, and they don't find the KO just yet. Buzzwole with the Swole Soul Slam again. So weak on the side of Mia Familia, but they still haven't found any KOs, Kyle.
Man, this Venusaur is living forever right now. Great plays by the Blissey to make sure everybody stays upright. I'm also liking kind of what this Mimikyu's been doing. It's been able to shadow tag the right targets in the right moment, kind of keeping Mia Familia away. We're going to see this Registeel get burst down. We're going to look for a secure for Mia Familia from downtown.
Diving on in here on the side of Christo. They do manage to find Snorlax. There goes Christo as well.
There it is.
I think they managed to sneak it. Yes, they do. Jose comes through, and Mia Familia lock in the Registeel.
I mean, it's kind of what you have to watch out for if you're Oblivion. I mean, we saw it a mile away. This Venusaur is starting to get fed. These Giga Drains are keeping it alive, and then being able to beam from max range and finding KOs. That's kind of the problem that Oblivion has. They don't have a ton of range damage dealers, so they can't really find damage onto this Venusaur if Mimikyu misses these Shadow Sneaks.
Yeah, there's just no sort of final hit secure, is there, when they're so weak? I mean, we saw it down there, buddy. They threw everything that they had at them, but the way that they were dispersed, they were so weak, but they couldn't find those final hits on the KOs, and it just means Oblivion has been on the back foot here as we see level 13s on the field for Mia Familia.
We're going to try to rip down this Regieleki and maybe push that towards that T2 goal zone in that top path. But Mia Familia doing a good job staying spread out and maybe trying to hold on to that T1 bottom. But oh, nice play from the tag team of Alchemy along with this Mimikyu. That could be a nice play here. They may stall this out for a little bit. That could potentially be a 100-point dunk.
Yeah, they throw it in instead. It's still going to be a 48 overcap. Not bad for a T1, of course. It puts them well in the lead at the moment, but it's going to be final stretch here. Mia Familia are prepared for it. They've got that poke damage coming in from Jose, and there's not going to be enough healing for Oblivion to handle it. They might have to go home at some stages. There we go, using the shield on the side of Alchemy already. Teams just waiting to see if they can find each other here, Kyle.
I'm waiting to see where this Venusaur is going to unite. That's going to be the key engage tool. Or I guess the Crustle is going to be the engage point. If Venusaur could find a unite move off the back of the Crustle, maybe find 2 or 3 members, that could be really big. That level 13 means that you're going to be able to fire those beams almost like every few seconds. Like, you're seeing how quickly the resets and the cooldown is at this point of the stage for this Venusaur. It's like every 5 seconds they're able to find a beam. So if we can find a big unite move, it is Mia Familia that is going to have to make that first move, though, because they are the ones that are down in this game number 2. I'm still looking for this Buzzwall as well, but look at this. They are going to start hitting the Ray.
Gonna go and see if they can get the rip here. They've got the Snow Globe for the lock-in. Verdant Anger as well. Getting ready on the side of that Venusaur as they get around the back approach. There we do. We see the Seismic Slam come through. So does the Swole Slam. Hasn't been able to find the KO just yet. Snow Globe connects. They get taken down, though, with the Power Nap coming through as well. Verdant Anger is there, but it's going to be the Alchemy that keeps up Oblivion. Now they've got the advantage, managing to find that Ninetales. Diving in on the side of Buzzwole, trying to take out the Blissey, but there's the shields. Crustle's going to be too much. Terare has to get away on the retreat, and it's Oblivion that are currently in the lead. Christo finds the double KO, and it looks like we've 30 seconds left, Kyle. Mia Familia are not going to be able to break this game.
Okay, we might be going to a game number 3. 25 seconds left. Rayquaza still on the board. Gonna start to get chipped, but like you said, Tado, I don't think there's enough time for Mia Familia, and we're gonna go to an ever-deciding game number 3. Incredible patient plays here from Oblivion.
Yeah, that was the right way to play it. They knew they were in the lead. They were trying to defend against those back caps. We saw Armarouge in the top side. Plenty of them sat on that T1 in the bottom side. They just had to wait for that first pick, and then they just lock in for the entirety of it. Yutao, what a way to play that final Rayquaza, right?
Shadow Sneaks, it was like very well played by him. Like Crystal.
Finds 5 KOs for their effort. It was good. That was a really good game. We're going to a game 3. Could we have predicted it any other way against these two teams? They know each other so well. Kyle, no, some of these players have played with each other on different teams. A lot of lore for these two, and they're really going to take us down to a game 3.
I mean, this was just such a back and forth game that Rayquaza was obviously the kind of the point of contention, and I loved the way Oblivion played it. They knew that they had like 100-point lead. They did not group up knowing that Jose had that big verdant anger that could unleash at any moment. I also liked the aggressive play by the Alchemy to make sure that they placed down that Fluffy Cream Unite move just in time for a big engage, and you saw it. It was aggressive. It helped find KO after KO, and I think that's kind of how you need to play Alchemy in those big engages. You need to be aggressive, and it can't be reactionary because you need a little bit of time to heal up your team.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's one of those where you've got to use it aggressively and use it as sort of an engage at that moment, right? If you tell your team, right, we're going in now, I'm going to unite, and that is just giving you such a massive advantage in that moment. As we see the highlights here, I liked the approach from Mia Familia, though. I felt like it was huge from Aaron with this Alolan Ninetales. It was very difficult for Oblivion to get the approach in if they couldn't find that quick KO onto that Ninetales.
Yeah, they really couldn't. It was very tough. Very tough for Mia Familia in this game. I liked it from time to time. Like, this Venusaur is one of my favorite Pokemon to play, like, since Season 1. So I always love seeing it in competitive. And I think it's such a late-game boss that you just kind of have to play around it. And honestly, Oblivion played around it quite well. They knew that the beams are going to be coming out in, like, full force. And they were very spread out because one of the things that Venusaur does as a sniper opposed to something like an Inteleon is that it can hit multiple targets at the same time, and it can really chunk them down.
Yeah, it's perfect for those team fights where people are just set up in bushes or waiting for the approach. I mean, here, you're going to be hitting in quite a couple as you come on through. But Mia Familia, they found the right moment to get on in and buy a little bit of space for their team. We see here, I mean, they just wouldn't get KO'd, Kyle. Look at the health that there's 3 of them on there. That's like a one-hit KO for one of these Pokemon, and they just refuse to go down.
They really did, yeah, time and time again. I love the positioning. This is a very big moment. I thought for sure Buzzwole was going to find a KO, but that downtown Solar Beam from the Venusaur, you just kind of have to be ready for it if you're Oblivion. And that's kind of what they did at Ray, right? Like, they made sure that they weren't chipping the Rayquaza and allowing Venusaur to secure it because that was the best secure tool of, like, any Pokemon in this game. I mean, there's not a whole lot of options. Snorlax maybe Heavy Slam, but, like, that Solar Beam was going to be that tool. So they did not let it come down to that. So I really liked it being a big team fight here at Ray.
Jurari managing to get free in the X-Scissor there is pretty ridiculous as well. But the Snow Globe comes through here. Unfortunately, they're so weak that it's going to be Snorlax's Power Nap that finds that KO quite easily. And again, as you saw, Vizid, they throw out that Unite move for Alchemy, and the Verdant Anger did absolutely nothing to the side of Oblivion.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the Verdant Anger in a direct beam to this Crustle, and it looked like it barely took any damage. Or not to the Crustle, I mean the Armarouge and everybody. Yeah, it wasn't enough damage, unfortunately. I don't know how. Just perfect timing from the Alchemy Unite move and just not being able to really find the perfect target. So I think that's just a good testament to Oblivion's spacing and just, again, their patience at Rayquaza. I think patience is always a key factor when you have a lead because, I mean, when you have a lead, you need to be patient because you don't want to lose to a steal. You want to play it slow. You want to, if you do have a level lead, you could play a little aggressive, but you don't want to be aggressive on Rayquaza. You want to let that other team make that first move and capitalize on their mistakes.
Yeah, 100%. And it's no surprise we're going to Game 3 here. Oblivion are so close to being able to get their first set win in this Unite League. They've currently lost 2 in the first 2 weeks. So, but the thing is, they're managing to get some really good games in. It's a bit like Lunar Guardians. They really do push a team to the limit, but it's just those final few moments where they don't end up winning. Let's see if they can do it here as we go back into Game 3, looking at the draft phase.
Alrighty, switching sides once again. Alchemy, Blissey, Ho-Oh, Trevenant, maybe. We did see the Trevenant ban previously. We do see it again here in game number 3. I'm not super surprised. I think both teams are pretty content on not letting these Pokemon through.
Let's see what the first lock-in's going to be for Mia Familia. Looking for that Snorlax yet again. Now, how do Oblivion answer? We've been seeing this Charizard picked so early. I don't expect the Ninetales to be ticked. I'm suspecting a Hooper to be picked here.
I also like the Armarouge into Snorlax, especially because Snorlax kind of wants you to kind of grind it out. But I think Armarouge is probably a little bit later of a pick, just because there is quite a bit of Pokemon in this meta that are strong against it. So I think you're right, yeah, and we do see it. That Charizard, once again, a fantastic pick. But the thing I'm shocked here is we're seeing Eldegoss picked.
Yeah, me too, to be fair, buddy. I wasn't expecting that supporter, but I like it. I feel like Eldegoss is one of those, like, core supporters that is there, does a decent amount of healing. The Unite move is still very good for these team fights as well. But Mia Familia, Daddy Leon's going to lock in the Blastoise that has had a bit of a resurgence recently anyway, a really aggressive defender. And then we're going to see Gunnar lock in this Sylveon as well. Now, are they going to go Hyper Voice? Are they going to go Mystical Fire? We've been seeing more of the Hyper Voice out here.
Ooh, I mean, yeah, I think Hyper Voice is great into a bulky composition. So you already see that Crystal. You see the Eldegoss that can shield up your team. So I would like that Hyper Voice combination. I think you tend to go Mystical Fire into more like Speedster / dive driven composition, which isn't quite what Oblivion is lining up right now. So we'll see how it goes. But look at this, Tano. We're seeing that last pick Gardevoir.
This is quite interesting. I mean, if they don't go for a more tankier Sylveon with that Mystical Fire, if they do go for Hyper Voice here, I don't know, buddy. I feel like that's a lot of squish. Of course, they have a great amount of damage as well. Gardevoir does a great amount of damage from that level 5 onwards. And of course, Greninja is Greninja. The lower health it has, the more damage it's going to do. But Christo, it could be a field day for them if they find those back crits, because I suspect they're going to run Pursuit. I don't know whether the Snorlax and Blastoise is going to be enough to defend those free squishes.
Yeah, this could be very rough. I think there's a lot of interesting things going on here that I want to bring attention to, and that is, this is a damaged Blastoise, and this is an XP share Sylveon.
Yeah. It's an interesting approach for Mia Familia, because of course, Volto is also on Charizard, mate, and that Seismic Slam, we're looking at the comp on the side of Mia Familia, that Seismic Slam is going to be pivotal in every single team fight, especially if they're grouped up, because if you are those attackers, unless it's maybe the Greninja that could have a little bit more maneuverability, you're not going to get away from that Seismic Slam.
Very stationary composition. And also, like, the Crustle, right? Like, the Crustle, I wouldn't be surprised here, Tano, if we see Crustle go with the Stealth Rock build. The only, like, real maneuverability that you have from Mia Familia is going to be the Greninja, like you said. Everybody else kind of gets caught behind those walls. So I wouldn't be super surprised if that's what we see here.
Well, we're about to find out, buddy, as we go on into Game 3. Mia Familia are going to be here on your left side, and Oblivion are going to be here on your orange side, as it is going to be Christo taking the central area with Gardevoir doing the same for Mia Familia.
Going to see who gets the last hits here. Snorlax does have good prowess of that, but it is going to be Mia Familia. It was the Froakie popped the X attack to get that last hit, so that is going to mean maybe a little bit of a push here. Focus ban on the Dwebble, but they are going to get out of dodge.
That's just a perfect example of how annoying Dwebble can be in these early stages. It's Dwebble, it's Squirtle. They're so difficult to take down with how they get that focus band, and you just so much damage you try and rain onto them, buddy, but you ain't gonna find the KO.
No KO just found just yet. Snorlax does get the last hit there. So you look at the Eos energy being held by these teams, and in the bottom path, it is Mia Familia with quite the advantage. I mean, you have Greninja already getting level 5. Well, I guess we Frogadier now. And that Snorlax has also been doing a great job getting last hits. It is going to be 3-on-3 up in the top path. Absol looking for a way in.
It's going to be Hyper Voice as Christo goes through, tries to find Aeron. They aren't able to connect with that Pursuit, unfortunately, so they have to retreat. You don't want to be caught out when that Hyper Voice is back up. Oh.
And, oh man, Absol doing exactly what you want your speedsters to do in this situation against that triple attacker team, and finding that backline, finding KOs, and now you're finding that central area of that Pokemon.
Christo just managed to sneak out there, and this is going to be the Elder Goss. This is one of the reasons why people like to use this supporter, because it can really assist with dropping damage, but it can also keep up with a lot of these speedsters and drop these pollen puffs. Can be hard to get it onto your teammate though, and they're going to find the KO on the side of this Gardevoir. That's going to be huge with Christo no longer able to drop that damage here.
We're going to see a little bit of a push here for Mia Familia as they try to take the central area Altaria family, but a Solar Beam is going to chunk a lot of that up, and it is Mia Familia coming out ahead. But look at this Eldegoss, A-press pressure, and then the Solar Beams to boot.
This is why we love it, buddy. They don't find the Squirtle, but they just got so weak on that Sylveon that they had to eject, and then Brutal is there to lock in with the beam, and then they come down here to see if they can find more. Heavy Slam's going to come on through. Psycho Cut does as well. Tries to use the boosted on the Mew, but they are back on that home pad, and Oblivion goes for the retreat.
They do. 4 members down in the bottom path for Mia Familia with just 3 members of Oblivion. So a little bit of a power play for them as we near these first set of objectives. It is Oblivion pushing that top pad. It looks like Absol is going to get the best of that Sylveon there. So that means that Oblivion should be able to dunk in some of their points, maybe take that Regieleki, but Mia Familia going to heavily prioritize this Regi Ice in the bottom pad. Already damage being found.
They don't quite have the damage here. They do have Secure with the Mew, but it's whether they can get in, because look what Snorlax is doing. A good effort from Mew, but it is going to be Gardevoir that finds that Reg Ice. In the meantime, Oblivion is going to get a rip onto that Regieleki. That's going to be connected as Blastoise tries to rein in the 24 dunk.
Solar Beams once again from this Mew. Gonna be body blocked from the Snorlax, but look at this T1 push here. Oblivion looking to press on forward. There's a Unite move from Charizard.
Oh, Seismic Slam could be so huge. They have to use it to get out, though, because they're getting the healing coming in from that pad, and it's just going to be too much for them to deal with on their own. They want to see if they can sneak into Gardevoir here, but they know exactly how to keep themselves at range and connect with those stuns.
Gonna push this T1 goal zone on the bottom side, and this rapid spin blast, so he's gonna try to hold the fort down, but there's a lot of damage from Oblivion coming through.
Blastoise not being in that fight anymore is going to be huge as Water Burst Shuriken tries to come through. They get KO'd as it connects, though. There's going to be a good effort from Gardevoir, managing to get that Unite move on the pad, and that pulls in Christo, and they find the KO. Good effort from Mia Familia to defend that.
Snorlax going to try to hold this T1 goal zone, but there are 3 members of Oblivion still pushing forward. Snorlax getting chunked down, and this Crustle, that's kind of what I'm saying. There's not a lot of escapability. You do have that Snorlax Heavy Slam, but I think this value that Oblivion is finding from this Crustle has been just so fun to see. It's fun to see this defender pick starting to get played a little bit more, especially since they fixed the bugs and give it a little bit of a buff.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I feel like this game is going to be decided, though, by poor Vizid. Pushed up against a rock in a hard place there. Has to use the eject button to get out. But I feel like a lot of it is going to be about these fairy singularities coming in from Gardevoir, and if they can get a couple of peaks with that in these team fights. In the meantime, Oblivion's going to have to break up here. Rubble Rouser was used by Kuro, and it looks like they want to dive on back into Daddy Leon. It's going to be the Hydra Typhoon that comes out. Midnight Slash has to be used, and again, there's a Seismic Slam taking down the Blastoise. The effort onto the Gardevoir, and this is what I was talking about, buddy. You don't really have that get out ability as they find the KO.
Greninja, all the meanwhile, able to shred through that basement objective. Oh, and they're going to pay exception to this Charizard, who just kind of decimated that Gardevoir. So I love that play here. I'm also, again, this Crustle pick, the Stealth Rock is working quite well into kind of this immobile composition when they're able to find some plays. So I'm liking what Oblivion is doing in these big team engages. I think it's definitely something to watch for as we get closer and closer to Rayquaza. I mean, you look at these goal zones. You have all the goal zones still up for Oblivion, so Mia Familia has been kind of struggling to find, you know, some scores.
Yeah, struggling to find the door to get through and get onto those goal pads. They seem to be approaching every corner of Fire Sky Ruins here as we have this fight in the central area for that farm. Christo is up there with Zed trying to deal with that Gardevoir. They do manage to find the KO, and here it looks like Oblivion are going to see if they can find Gunnar. They have to use that Unite move from Sylveon, and they come out on top. They get away, but Charizard managing to find Snorlax means they can rein in the points here and get themselves a nice overcap.
Fantastic math there from Oblivion, allowing the Mew to score before the massive overdunk of, I think it was like 30 plus points goes in. And that also means they have a little bit of time and space for this Regieleki closer to Rayquaza, so they could potentially either push this or maybe look to take some other wild Pokemon experience, or even just get set up for this basement Reggie, which could be an incredible objective going into Rayquaza. It could potentially give them every buff that they want, but look at this. I like this sneaky play from this Crustle looking for this T2 score.
Oh, Kuro, that is sneaky, buddy. 34 points they're going to rain on in. And, of course, they could be closed out here, but it is a Crustle. They're going to throw on the XP. They've got a huge health bar, and they are under the 3-minute mark here, so they don't want to use that Rubble Rouser. Are they going to be able to get back home? They still managed to lock in the Regice, though, managing to be a distraction on the side of Kuro.
Big distraction. I'm loving the plays here from this squad. Oh, this could be big. 20 seconds until Rayquaza in Absol is gone. A double KO from this Greninja. So the win condition for Mia Familia is going to be Rayquaza, but I do believe Oblivion's going to be back in time. So you'll have Absol up, you'll have Crustle up, but you'd love to see that level 13 from that Absol. Not sure if they're going to have time to get any last hits. So instead, Mia Familia gonna get in position for this Rayquaza. They're already starting to put a little bit of pressure on it. Greninja kind of at half health. They're gonna have to retreat back to home goal zone to get fully topped off because you don't really have a true healer on the side of Mia Familia. But again, very patient for Oblivion here. They're looking for a gauge. Absol goes in.
Oh, they do manage to get a huge amount of damage onto Gnar there. They don't utilize the Midnight Slash just yet, waiting for that team fight, waiting for them to group on up. Christo knows they are in this bush, but who is it? That's the issue, and they've been spotted as Aurora tries to come on through as well. Aran doesn't manage to find them, but they do on the side of Blastoise. Now, Christo doesn't have any way to get into this fight with that Midnight Slash, and Mia Familia going to lock in to find the quick KOs as they come on through with a Power Nappy, a Rubble Rouser as well. That's going to be a Cotton Cow clash that's going to keep up Mia Familia as they go on in. The Fairy Singularity doesn't connect on anybody. The Seismic Slam does though, Kyle, and they manage to take down the Sylveon. It may be the saving grace here for Oblivion as they try to take down the Greninja. Christo does just that, and they still have Midnight Slash ready to go.
Yeah, this is a very good position if you're Oblivion. You know that you had that win condition of just protecting Rayquaza. And now with 2 members down, you're kind of in the driver's seat, but you do lose that Absol. That could be really problematic as Mia Familia turns on this Rayquaza.
Okay, 20-second spawn timer now for Christo. 235 points, though. They are in the lead. Charizard, Volto does go down. They don't have a Unite move to connect with, and the rip on Rayquaza is here. Mia Familia with that pick on Christo may have done what needs to be done, but Gnar's trying to connect with a Hyper Voice on Rayquaza, but it's gonna be Mew. Oblivion gets the lock-in. Brutal, ensuring that they can go for the win. Blastoise is disrupted. An 80 dunk will come in from Fazid. Oblivion finds their first set win, Kyle.
Massive plays there. Big GGs to Oblivion. Man, that was as exciting of a Rayquaza fight as it could have been. I think Oblivion played it perfectly. Unfortunately, they, like you said, they did lose that Absol in the time, but they had enough of a team chemistry to know, you know, exactly what they needed to do in this game 3. They had a massive lead. They just needed to stall enough time for Absol to get back. They needed to find maybe 1-2 picks there, knowing that they had like a 200-point lead, and they played that to perfection. Yes, they got the Rayquaza, but I think it's all their actions before Rayquaza that kind of made that team fight a good win.
No, that it did. It was a good, I mean, what a set that ended up being, to be honest. You can see how these two teams are so dominant in these games. The thing is, Mia Familia, they were on top of the leaderboard. Oblivion still looking to find that first set win. They managed to sneak it here. Brutal with a great secure on the side of that Mew.
Great secure. I mean, that's probably one of the better secures in the game. Obviously, you had Gardevoir that could potentially secure maybe a Water Burst Shuriken, but I believe that was down in the moment. So, like, you know, Electro Ball, definitely the best secure. So they took advantage. They got Rayquaza low enough, and they trusted their secure tools. I think that's the sign of trust from the team. It's a sign of a good team knowing, like, I'm going to trust my carry. I'm going to trust my secure to do exactly that. And we were looking at the stats there, Tano, and one of the big things that stuck out to me was not just the damage from Mew, but the fact that they only took 6k damage in that game.
I mean, you know that your team is doing the right thing when you look at those stats and see that your Mew has been untouched. I mean, we see it get KO'd there, but probably one of the few moments that they did. It was one of those where it felt like these Fairy Singularities, we saw it come through from Gardevoir there, was huge against Oblivion, but in the Rayquaza fight, they didn't manage to find anyone with that Fairy Singularity, and that is a huge Unite move to not be able to lock in with and giving the advantage over to Oblivion.
Yeah, they took advantage, right? Like, you find the KO here. This is a nice play there by Charizard, I think, and very shortly after, Greninja paid a little bit of dividends to that Charizard. But this could have been a very sticky situation for Oblivion. You get Greninja a couple KOs, but it was just enough time for Oblivion to get back into this fight, and Oblivion took advantage.
Again, Seismic Slam showing itself to be a very important Unite move as they drop enough damage to lock in the Greninja here. Cristo, they had some really important moments at this Rayquaza fight, but it's that pick where Mia Familia probably felt that they were in a good enough position to go for the rip here, but Brutal, uncontested, but they know that Brutal is there, but of course Daddy's so weak, Daddy Leon, and they go in with the Electro Ball. They're trying to target Volto here because, of course, once that Unite move comes back up, and it's quite a low cooldown, they're going to be able to dominate that team fight, and they were completely uncontested on the side of the Mew.
Yeah, I like Mia Familia still putting pressure on it. Look how close this is. Gardevoir gets a nice side shot combination, but Mew just a little bit better last hit ability. Gardevoir a little bit less consistent on it because it's those 3 bursts, and Mew is able to get it between the first and the second burst of Psyshock. So incredible plays there from Oblivion to ensure that victory.
Gunnar was there with a basic hit as well from Sylveon, but he just hit him just after the Electro Ball did. So what an effort by Brutal to lock that between the 2 hits from Mia Familia. Wow, okay, what a set that ended up being. I need to go grab a drink of water. Grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a snack chat. We'll be back with you very shortly. Alrighty, peeps. It's time for the final set of the day. Boo-hoo. All good things have to come to an end, but let's hope it's going to be an electric one. Kyle, how are you finding the first week here for the European League?
It's been fun. I mean, we've seen some upsets. Maybe not upsets, but we've seen some, maybe we could call them upsets. A team that, had not won a set just yet, getting their first win here at the EUL is always super exciting. So it's been super fun. We got one more to go, though.
That we do. And Utah, have you found anything so far interesting or exciting about the picks that we've been seeing? Not really many surprises with that patch, right?
Yeah, I mean, we saw like that many pings don't really, shine on the past few weeks. So, like new patch, new everything. So it's very interesting to see like what the teams are gonna bring, and yeah.
I think my favorite thing so far has been the ho-ho. I think the ho-ho has been really interesting, and I mean even before this patch it was already showing itself, especially in these like weekly league games, to be a really strong Pokemon with just how difficult it is to take it down. But I'm really enjoying the more action that we see from it, Kyle. It's also able to get some really good early secures in, and I think it's going to be one of those go-to picks for a lot of these teams.
I mean, yeah, it's gotta be, right? Like there's a lot of good picks on this patch, but I mean, I guess we will see here. Enemies versus Victory Road. This is gonna be your last set of the night. 2-0 Victory Road. 1-1 is the record of the enemies, and we're already seeing some bans go out.
Yeah, fair play. It's going to be goodbye to the Inteleon. I mean, I know it's been bugged and we haven't been seeing any of it, but of course, comfortable players over on the side of the Victory Road. And then, of course, the Alchemy, Blissey, and Snorlax. No surprises. Psyduck is finally coming out to play, Utah. We haven't seen any of that today.
Yeah, well, we saw like the nerf from Psyduck. They nerfed like the radius on the Psychic. So right now it's like more... It's tiny, it's kind of tiny, so it's more harder to hit your enemy with Psychic. And they nerfed the Surf as well, so yeah.
Alrighty, and Mifil's gonna lock in that Leafeon.
I'm kind of surprised that no one is picking like Rapidash or Suicune.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle, I'm with you, right? It's going to be one of those where Suicune you expect to come on through. Utah's absolutely right. No Suicune coming out, no Rapidash coming out. What's going on?
What is going on? Yeah, I think, I mean, we saw a little bit of that in the Japanese meta. Like, teams really did not prioritize Suicune in the slightest, but you have very, very damage focus here on Victory Road. You got double Speedster.
Oh, double Speedster. It's a high risk, high reward potential comp that you come out with when it's that double Speedster. It's going to be paired up against some strong walls on the side of the enemies with having that Blaziken and that Trevenant. It's going to be Galaxy locking in the Darkrai that we see quite a bit of actually in this EU region, right, Utah? It's still really good at being able to get those sleeps and does a decent amount of damage.
Yeah, I mean, Darkrai is a very good one, especially against all these melees, so we can just hit them with Dark Void and just put them asleep and deal a lot of damage.
We have been looking at some standout players through weeks 1 and week 2. Of course, Aaron was one, Nachos was one. The third player on that list was Galaxy here on the side of the enemies. So they're already showcasing themselves to be a very strong player here in the European League. So I'm excited to see how they manage to cook coming up against this comp here, Kyle.
Yeah, I like you said, I really do like the Darkrai pick. I think it's kind of underutilized, but it definitely has a niche in the meta currently. And when you have so much crowd control, it's really, really, really tough to deal with. So I love that when you have double Speedster on the other side. So if you're able to put them to sleep, keep them from dashing in and diving your back line, you're going to have a good time. And I don't know, I like what the enemies is lining up here.
I'm with you. I also feel like Darkrai's pretty good against other speedsters. He's very good against them. We usually see it more in like a support role, don't we? People throw that EXP share on it because you're just kind of utilizing it for that sleep and that extra damage you get from it. But here we go, buddy. This is going to be game 1 versus the enemies and the Victory Road. The enemies here on your left side, the Victory Road here on your right side.
Enemies looking for their Victory Road here in game number 1. It is going to be the Zorua in the central area. Poopa along with the Torchic going to maybe do a little bit of a push here in their own central area, maybe give that red buff over to Hoopa, but early on it's good secures here for this Umbreon.
Oh, good effort as well from Champions, managing to lock in that. Let's see what they can do on the top side, though, as Galaxy is going to get the sleep. Can they find the Gibble? No, they can't. The Focus Band props. They go back for the Citrus Berry, and now they have to retreat on the side of the enemies.
A little bit of a midnight snack for that Gibble, almost going down, but they're able to just gobble up that Citrus Berry, keeping them upright just barely for the time being. Ooh, almost getting the secure was the Psyduck, but just leaving it on 1 HP. So enemies cleans it up. We're going to see a little bit of a pivot here. We're going to see this Combuskin make a beeline towards this top hat, but a little bit of resistance here with that Zoroark.
Sees the Zoroark, take the movement berry, goes, you know what, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go back. Tries to see if they can come in here. Leafeon is here as well. The Victory Road are in a strong position with these two speedsters being online, trying to see if they can come in here and find the approach onto that Darkrai. Doesn't just yet. Gets pulled back though, and they're so weak. They finally find the KO on the side of the enemies, looking for the Zoroark as well. But they look like they're gonna have to get themselves out of this position, buddy. A massive hit from Combuskin as they find the KOs, and wow, the Victory Road getting pushed to the edge there, but it is going to be this Gabite that's still on up. Oh, cheeky Combuskin.
Gosh. Oh, the push and pull. I mean, you have two Pokemon that do like the shove. You got the Combuskin and the Gabite there, you know, kind of back and forth. One pushes the other and almost going down. Almost a Romeo and Juliet situation where they both go down, but just barely able to survive with that Combuskin. But that means Victory Road, they're going to put a lot of pressure, but I like that Surf from that Mew to maybe push it away from that Speedster Zoroark.
Ooh, a jet button coming out here from the Umbreon. They managed to get themselves away, but it does feel like the enemies have a really good way of swarming around Victory Road at the moment. Zoroark hasn't found that approach into these team fights just yet. As we hit the 7:30 mark, Mifil's trying to see if they can wait for Quento to come into that buff. Umbreon's going to see if they can push on up. Bit disjointed at the moment, though, Kyle.
A little bit of scattered throughout the map, but we are starting to see Victory Road move some players towards this top path, 4 of them versus 3. So a little bit of a power play incoming. Zoroark's going to engage on the Hoopa, but no KOs found just yet.
Oh, there we go. The explosion comes through. Leafeon taken on out. Charging up that hit there from Blaziken. They don't find the Zoroark. And now the Victory Road are on a little bit of a back foot. They're going to go back for their healing. Wait for the approach in on this Regieleki. The rip is coming on in here from Revenge. They're getting prepared to secure that. And of course, they're going to do the right thing on the side of Galaxy and prepare for that ambush.
They're going to push on to this Trevenant as well, but Zoroark unable to really find the KO. Look at this damage already on this Regirock.
Trying to see if they can let the secure in. Good effort from Quento to just buy a little bit of space for the secure. They're not able to. Leafeon does find that. The tree gets felled. And the Victory Road, they do come out with the objective and some good KOs. But the enemy's still in the lead at the moment. Good push coming out from Gabite, trying to see if they can get the pick with the Dragon Rush. But they managed to get out without a jet. But an Emerald 2-step. Deleting Darkrai here, though, gives the advantage to the Victory Road as they rein in the points and find the secures.
It's exactly what you want if you're Victory Road. You take out 2 Pokemon, 2 really pivotal pieces, right? You can take out the Darkrai, you take out the Mew. Those are really nice KOs to kind of kick off this fight. And then they were able to break that T1 goal zone. And the top path, Blaziken was ripping that top objective, and they did get a decent amount of points in that T1 goal zone on the top side. Look at this. A little bit of a push here for Darkrai onto that Zoroark.
Let's see if they can do something with it, though, on the side of the enemies. It looks like they're going to go on a bit of a retreat. A great pick coming in from Quento, though. They do manage to find Psyduck with that Horn Leech, and now the advantage is on the side of the enemies in this top side. That Overheat isn't going to find any connect, though. Umbreon isn't phased by it. A dive in here on the side of the Garchomp. They get so weak with the CC. They end up going down, and now the enemies has the advantage as they push on to this T1 goal here, Kyle. Trying to see if they can sneak on through. Zoroark is pulled out out of their combo, and that means that Umbreon is taken down. Nightfall Daze does come through. Quento isn't down though. Full power Sai to reduce that damage coming on in, but the defense is it on the side of the enemies. We do see Zorak getting through, finding a quick KO, but they have to get back to their pad as Garchomp continues to be a non-factor in these team fights.
Man, so many Pokemon living with very low HP bars. Mew finally takes out that Zoroark. Oh, and Umbreon is able to take out the Mew, so a little bit of revenge paid there. And here comes the Trevenant with a nice little push to keep the team from pushing into that T1 goal zone. Man, this has been kind of back and forth every which way, and right now it is the enemies kind of ahead right now. You know, a little bit after halfway, but Victory Road, they do take that objective, so Regieleki walking towards this T1 goal zone, that could be pretty big, but Hoopa's bringing the team in, Ring Zone bound, Registeel on deck.
Can't pull everybody down, though. Quento's going to have to be left up there to defend that Regieleki, and they do have 3 on the side of Victory Road locked on in. That does open up this for Registeel to be taken by the enemies. Revenge is going to be cheeky, try and see if they can get a 20 dunk in, or at least get the push coming through from Umbreon. Good defense from Victory Road here, though, as they don't manage to break the pad just yet. Left on 12, Umbreon is going to be felled as the enemies find some KOs. Emerald two-step comes through, trying to see if they can take down Galaxy, but they don't. Livid outrages here though, and they still manage to get away with it. That's going to be a wasted Unite move.
We're going to push maybe a little bit in the central area, but Blaziken, ooh, nice little combination with the trick along with the Phantom Force to get Blaziken out of a disadvantageous position. You also get the double KO from this Mew, so we're starting to see the enemies start to take a little bit of a point lead. Only 3 points are going to separate these teams. At the 330 mark, probably the last chance to see any Unite moves get expended. But a double KO from this Trevenant means that it is the enemies kind of walking away ahead.
Quento's been so impressive on this Trevenant, but it feels like they've had Psyduck's number every single team fight. They have been really impressive, finding some really good disruptions to enable the KOs to come through for the enemies. I mean, 3 points between these two teams with a minute left before Rayquaza is here. Level 13's on the line, though, for the enemies. Definitely feels like Victory Road needs to find some good picks if they can, but they're going to be up against it here as Revenge charges that overheat, but doesn't get the repositioning yet.
You have 15 seconds until a Regieleki in the top path, and you're starting to see Victory Road line it up. You have the Zoroark along with the Garchomp, but a little sleep from the Darkrai is going to put this Zoroark to bed in the Pokemon Center. Mew's also going to take out this Garchomp. So it is the enemies in the lead here with 25 seconds until the final stretch. They have a Regieleki that will walk towards this T2 goal zone, so they have a couple potential win conditions here. You have the Regieleki that could maybe give them an even larger lead if they decide to go ahead and break it. They do have a Hoopa that could bring the team back if a player wants to go ahead and push that. And instead, they are going to just get in position for this Rayquaza, so they know that they have a little bit of a positional advantage, knowing that they have at least a little bit of an idea where Victory Road's setting up. Victory Road is going to try to maybe find Pokemon in the backline. Leafeon has access to their Unite move. They don't have their 13 just yet. Zoroark also could potentially look for a flank. So a lot of potential here, but we are going to find a little bit of a play here in the backside.
Yeah, they do manage to find that flank onto Galaxy, but they don't find the KO. The sleep is absolutely massive from Darkrai, and now the enemies know exactly where Victory Road is. Trying to get here onto the flank of the Blaziken on the side of Zoroark. It just feels like the enemies are prepared for what's coming from Victory Road here, but they're really prepared in the top side. They want to go quite aggressive on down here. The sleep comes through from Galaxy. Umbreon has to use their Unite move to stay up. They're so weak, though. Emerald two-step's going to be massive from Victory Road. They take out Darkrai, and now they want to dive on in with a Livid Outrage as well. This could be massive. A Surf comes through from the Mew. They're going to get themselves back. Man, a huge amount of damage coming through. Full power Sai has been used without that team fight being there. So it does mean that that's a huge Unite move that Victory Road no longer has for this Rayquaza rip. And there's a Rings let loose, pulling in the entire team into this pit here, trying to see if they can find the Garchomp. They do just that with the Blaziken. They managed to take down the rest in the pit as well. And with Leafeon not being there, a lot of that secure has been taken out. You take down this Zoroark, and the enemies has all the advantage they need at this Rayquaza.
It's just the Umbreon left to maybe pick up the pieces. All 4 members, actually all 5 members, still on the board. Hoopa going for a little bit of a back cap. just to secure their victory here against Victory Road. So, very well played, Rayquaza. I thought for a second it was going to be Victory Road coming out ahead. They got that early pick on that Darkrai before they could even use their Unite move, which is such a good Unite move into double Speedster. So you thought that maybe they had an opportunity to take advantage, but I think the big play there was Hoopa staying upright and allowing the team to get back on the map and then bringing them in with the Rings Unbound. And really from there, you saw the enemies just full force effect, and full force ahead too, and really taking advantage in that Rayquaza.
Yeah, that's a great effort. Yutao, Quento was absolutely massive in that game, right? That Trevenant was so good.
Yeah, I mean, he put so much stun on the enemies, and Darkrai actually was so annoying to deal with. Like, so many stuns, and we see, like, on top lane, like, putting, like, all these Dark Void and just leave the enemies.
It kind of just shuts down, like, an approach that Victory Road wants to take, right? Like, you're going to see Zorak dive in, trying to get those combos off, but then you're put to sleep, and you're taken straight out of that. So, a great pick on the Darkrai. I think that's quite a smart way to play it, just using it for that sleep.
I mean, it's scary when you have, like, the mark on you, you kind of don't really want to engage into a Darkrai, because if you just, like, Dark Void you again, it's gonna just put you to sleep. It's very scary.
I mean, we saw how it managed to limit what Zorak could do. Kyle, we're so used to Zorak coming into a game and being so dominant. I mean, my own region, your region, they have some very strong Zorak players. So what a way to be able to shut that down there over on the side of the enemies.
I loved it. I loved the combination of Mew and Darkrai into that Speedster composition, because you have a couple of things going for you. You have that single Unite move from the Darkrai that can take out either of those Speedsters, but you also have that Mew that is, one, quite shifty, able to really escape some big, pushes from those Speedsters, maybe dodge some cooldowns, but you also have the ability to lock on with those boosted autos and even the Electro Ball. And time again, we saw those boosted autos and Electro Balls chase down those Speedsters.
All right, we're going to go on into game 2 here. The Victory Road has to take this one if they want to take it to a game 3 and find themselves to continue to get these victories. It's going to be Inteleon banned out again alongside Alchemy, Balissi, and Hooper. Yutao, support's not enjoyed here on the side of these teams.
Actually, support not enjoyed. I'm actually curious if they're gonna like prioritize the Rapidash or Snorlax in these games. So I mean, they're gonna keep the Psyduck. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know whether the Psyduck did enough in that previous game there, Kyle. I mean, the full power Psy-Eyes, they didn't do much in those team fights, and it seems like every time that Greg wanted to do something, Quento was there to take them out.
Yeah, I mean, I love Psyduck. I think it's one of my favorite Pokemon to play. But yeah, it definitely can be tough to play, especially into like a lot of damage. So you have to really utilize those full power Psy-Eyes to really like absorb a lot of the cooldowns, usually like the Unite moves, just to reduce a lot of that damage. So you have to use it really well. So hopefully in this game, they'll be able to do exactly that.
Going back to the typical comps here, especially on the side of the enemies, Yutao, they've managed to lock in that Mew and Blaziken again. We do still see this Eldegoss continuing to come out though, and I do feel like, is it because it does a decent amount of damage, but also the Unite move is pretty good for those team fights?
Yeah, I mean, I love Eldegoss. I mean, I think it's one of the support that not a lot of people are picking. And I mean, I love the Unite move. I love the point of that, just heal your team. Oh,
I mean, we talk about unexpected picks here in the European League, buddy. Mewtwo X is not a Pokemon that we see that often, but definitely very tanky, and it feels like it's going to be used for that tankiness.
Yeah, I think it's very good actually against these species. You can just like grab them and just kind of shove them down. So I'm actually curious how he's gonna play it. I mean, it's pretty exciting.
got the potion on it, so definitely going to be using it as get in my face and see what you can do on the side of Victory Road. Kyle, double speedsters still coming out here for Victory Road. They want to try and use this Dodrio and Mephil again on the Leafeon, but we still have this, Scizor, Cypher. I suspect Scizor, they've got the full heal, and you want a little bit of brawl, right?
Maybe. I mean, we could see a potential triple speedster composition. I mean, why not? But yeah, I think likely we'll probably see. Actually, I don't know, honestly. I think it could go either way. I think Scyther is just so much better than Scizor. Scizor just struggles, especially into something like Mew that can really just stay at arm's length away. So I would imagine you want to probably place Scizor just to make sure that you're able to take out that Mew, because otherwise you don't really have anything that can outrange it.
I mean, there's two Pokemon that I love to play the most on this game. Talonflame is one, Cypher is the other. So I really hope we do see Cypher. It's ridiculous, but here we go, buddy. It's going to be game 2 between these two teams. The enemies here on your left side and the Victory Road on your right side. Will it be the final game of the day?
Yeah, enemies looking to take down Victory Road and give them the first loss match of their season. Gonna be a tall task, though. I mean, I'm still like very curious about this Mewtwo X pick because I kind of love it, especially with like this buff that you get to the Rocky helmet. I think you could pay a lot of dividends, especially into like these double speedster compositions.
Yeah, somebody used it against me in the community games I do, like the other week, and because I love to play speedsters, buddy, I did not enjoy going up against it. It was absolutely massive, so I love the pick as Mew manages to find the pick there. Dodrio's going to come down, though, and sneak the KO onto Snorlax.
Yeah, you got a KO there, but I think the enemy is probably pretty happy with getting a lot of the secures early on and maybe slowing down these speedsters a little bit. I think you got a lot of great last hitting from Mew. You're going to see maybe a little bit of a push here. Nice little defense engagement from the Snorlax. And not only that, but you get the Surf KO on the Leafeon.
Oh, that's pretty massive for the enemies. It is going to be Scizor on the field for Victory Road. We'll have to see whether that's going to be enough to handle this Mewtwo X. It was the final pick. That might be what they're trying to do with it, as they do manage to pick up the Gloss of Fur and see if they can rein in some points here. We don't have Mega on the side of Mewtwo X just yet. Good serve comes through from Mew to buy the space for their team, but their Swinub does find the KO onto Combusken, and now we have Piloswine.
Yeah, and we also have a Scizor, so they are electing to not go triple speed, so they're going to give a little bit extra bulk on their side with that Scizor pick opposed to Scyther. Enemies definitely need to get this Eldegoss online, still struggling to get that level 4, so they'll probably feed a little bit of that into that, which means that Victory Road should be able to clean up a majority of this Altaria family, which they do. So I think if you're Victory Road, you're probably pretty happy with this early game so far.
Quinto's going to fall down there as Victory Road continues to find the KOs on the side of these speedsters. They've got level 7s here now. Blaziken the only one for enemies, but Dodrio has just hit level 8. Scizor's here as 7, waiting for these 720s to spawn on in, but Mew manages to find a good pick onto the side of that Leafeon.
Fantastic pick. I mean, you love to see Mew get everything that they can. You want to get those levels up as high as you can, and level 7 right now is quite good for them. Oh, good engage from this Mewtwo X, taking out the Scizor.
Oh, it's so tough when you've got that in your face, buddy. Dodrio has to retreat as well because this Snorlax is proving to be a bit too much to handle, but Leafeon connects on the side of Mew and finds that KO. Points rain on in from the side of the enemies. They give themselves a little bit of a point lead as the first objective spawn on the field.
First objectives, it is going to be a Regirock down bottom. It's going to be a 3-on-2 Victory Road in advantage.
Oh, good effort from the Eldegoss trying to find that connect, but it is going to go to Dodrio, and now they look like they're going to go straight into the top side, but no, they're going to come here, look for some quick KOs, but Mewtwo X is down here, though, and that might be the call to retreat for the side of Victory Road.
And this 29 points going on in for Scizor, who's going to try to work up that attack way. I believe they were stacking on that, so it's going to give them a little bit of additional insulation, especially in these team fights. I'm also liking kind of like this matchup against the Mewtwo X, but we have a huge engage here.
That we did. Emerald two-step came through, so did the red illusion dive, but it doesn't do enough as Mewtwo X is still putting up a huge shield against them. There goes the infinite Cyburn. They found the double KO. They won't be able to chase down Dodrio, although they make a really good effort for it on the side of Galaxy. Triple trample comes through to lock in that buff, but it's going to be taken by Galaxy anyway. As we go back to our screen, because I think we're having a little bit of connection issues in the middle of that one, Kyle.
Very unfortunate. Yeah, you never like to see any little bit of connection issues, but I think right now, I think the enemies are doing a pretty good job, but you got to be a little bit worried for these speedsters because once they really get online, it's so tough to find KOs on them. So at some point, you're gonna have to get into the game, and we're starting to see we are back online, and Dodrio getting some nice scores in.
Yeah, Dodrio continues to be a difficult Pokemon for the enemies to handle. Right now, it's just Mew down here. Has to use Mystical Mirage just to keep themselves around. Instead of defending the pad, they look for the KO into Dodrio. Electro Ball takes it. I mean, they were level 11, so you try and go for the highest level KO that you possibly can, don't you?
You really do, and right now, Victory Road is doing exactly what you want to do when you have double Speedster. Get off to a massive lead, and it is over 124, exactly 124 point victory, maybe not victory, but lead that they have. And they also have a Registeel buff now, so they will likely want to put a little bit more pressure on, keep the pressure on, and maybe take some fights because they know that they have those buffs to work with.
I love the approach that Victory Road is taking, buddy. They know they have to win this game or they're going to get their first loss of the league, and you want to continue with the momentum that you've already built up in week 1 and week 2. So a good approach by them. They're managing to swarm around in these team fights. We do see the Emerald two-step coming through, manages to take out Mewtwo X. That's massive for Victory Road, but it is going to be Blaziken pushing up this scissor against the wall. Mammoth Mash is going to come through as well. They have been able to keep themselves upright, though, on the side of Victory Road as Dodrio disrupts the callback for Blaziken, and they do have to get on the retreat. They do try and chase them down, though. They find the KO, but they have to use a lot of Unite moves for it.
I mean, you got to be really happy, right? You take down 2 of the Titans on Victory Road. You take out that Dodrio. You're able to take out that Scissor. That means levels are big. And that even is bigger because now you take out their Leafeon. So this is exactly what you need if you're the enemies. You're finding value left and right going towards the end of game.
Oh, buddy, that missing the tri-attack just didn't get hit on that final one, and that means that 50 goes on through. And the enemies, we've already talked about how they found some important KOs to get themselves back in. Blaziken is now level 13 with a minute away from Rayquaza. They've just cut down this score lead yet again.
126 to 200, so the enemies starting to crawl back, not only in the point game, but also in the levels. Look at this. 40 seconds until Rayquaza. Win condition might not be as clear as day, but it is starting to get more clear as we go on. But there is a team fight.
Looks like they're going to use this as the Rayquaza fight right now. We don't have any Unite moves just yet. Dodrio connects on the Lecky. Good effort from the Snorlax to try and heavy slam it. They do take down Mewtwo X here. Emerald two-step does come through, but the eject means it doesn't connect on any KOs as Blaziken tries to take out Mamoswine. They do fall to the Leafeon, though. They've got 10 seconds before Rayquaza is in. They should all be here except the Blaziken, and we see Eldegoss just trying to run. A massive beam from another postcode takes out this Mamoswine.
That was pretty big on the side of the enemies. Now they might be in position. Leafeon just being able to escape, but Scissor is able to take out the Eldegoss. And we're going to have a little bit of a refight. Dodrio getting engaged on.
Oh, wow, the eject ball just being able to get over that wall as well from Champion, and that's it. Dodrio out, level 13 Pokemon not in this fight anymore. The enemies has the advantage now. They just have to worry about this Leafeon coming in, but they're going for the rip on the Rayquaza. Greg, just on the outskirts, uses the full power Psy to reduce that damage. Here comes the Scizor, has that Red Illusion dive to go on through, tries to connect on the side of the Mamoswine, gets KO'd. Mewtwo X finding the KO that they were looking for, but now the enemies, they've taken victory one by one here, buddy, and victory is exactly what they're looking for.
126-220. Still a pretty close game for all intents and purposes. The enemy's going to need to find either this Rayquaza or a Cap. But here comes Dodrio. Triple trample in.
Triple trample in with a KO to boot as well, but they have to get on the retreat the instant they do. We've got a block in the way for Snorlax, and Rayquaza is so weak. Mamoswine waiting to dive on in with that Earthquake. Does go through, but doesn't find the KO, buddy. Blaziken, the god of secure, does it for the enemies.
Overheat. One of the best secures in the game. Gets it done here in game 2. They just need to get some of their points in. 50. Double it, make it a hundo for Eldegoss. That's going to give the enemies the lead here.
And with 30 seconds left on the clock, more Hundo Burgers rain on through with some sides to boot, with this going in with a 98. And the enemies are going to hand Victory Road their first set loss of the European League.
638, 694. Victory Road gonna have to stand by and watch as their undefeated season so far comes to the end of the road. The enemies taking this one, and they will move on into week 4 with a 2-1 record.
Yet again, another example of a team that manages to get themselves back into the fight with the final few minutes, and then it all just comes down to how they play Rayquaza. Yutao, how did you think that game went?
Pretty well, and we saw like the value of Mewtwo X. And yeah, he managed like to pull like so much people to him, and yeah, they got a lot of value from it.
Galaxy's absolutely cooking, honestly. I mean, an absolute player to watch. That's why we have them as our standout players in these first few weeks. And that Mewtwo X, I mean, Kyle, you were curious about it. How good was that?
I mean, I liked it a lot. I think it's kind of underutilized in the meta, especially when you have a new item. Maybe not new item, but a reworked item in the Rocky helmet. So you saw it provide a ton of value time and time again. So I actually really like that kind of new adaptation. We don't see a ton of Mewtwo X. A lot of the times we tend to see that Mewtwo Y as more of like maybe like kind of a support A presser in the back line. And this is kind of developing into a Mewtwo X meta.
What I do find funny though is this Dodrio Yutao continues to be difficult for teams to handle. I know, of course, the Japan region are just the OGs of this Dodrio, but we're seeing more of it here in these comps, and it does seem a bit difficult for teams to handle it.
I feel like that Dodrio don't really get like the value that we saw like previously when we saw like like N played that Dodrio and he just got like so much value out of it. And here it was like kind of different, so. Yeah.
I think it's one of those Pokemon where like you get really confident on it, and sometimes you find yourself in a position where really you shouldn't be, and we did see that a couple in this game here, and you see that so often, don't you, Kyle? Sometimes you are playing so well, and Victory were in the lead in this mid game. You do overconfidence yourself and push places that you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the mindset that sometimes you kind of have to play with as a speedster, because otherwise you may not get the levels that you need. Sometimes it does bite you in the rear end, and kind of being the case here in game number 2 are, you have so many tools on the enemies that can really help take down those speedsters. Again, I love this Mew pick into the double speedster with all that stuff, like, the boosted autos connecting, the E-balls being able to chase down those high mobility targets. So, and then you have the Blaziken doing exactly what the Blaziken does and making sure that you have plenty of last hit ability.
I mean, I do feel like with the Victory Road there, we saw them in the central area and they gave away some huge KOs over to the enemies. That's kind of where this game felt like it was flipped, because now the enemies have the levels. They've managed to get this score lead down as well as we hit Rayquaza. Good approach here from Victory Road, Yutao, to find those really important KOs, but I don't feel like they utilized it enough to get really aggressive.
Yeah, I thought they're actually gonna flip like the Ray when they got like these 3 kills on top. They were just like fight enemies. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought the same. I was expecting some sort of rip through on the Ray. The thing is, like, when you have such an advantage like that, you've managed to take 3. It's what, 5v2. That's kind of what I was expecting, Kyle. But instead, the enemies managed to get themselves back in, and they found some huge picks. They took out the carries. Leafeon gone. Dodrio was gone quite early as well. So that just means advantage back onto the enemies, right?
Yeah, and when you have a Blaziken You rip it and you hope that you're able to get the secure. That was their win condition at this point, being down a little bit less than 100, and especially with Rayquaza being that low, and it executed it to perfection. I mean, Blaziken, as long as you're able to not get stopped by something like a Slowbro, you have that unstoppable nature, and you're able to get those secures off. As long as you time it right, it's one of the best things in the game.
Alrighty, I mean, that was week 3 for the European League, and if every week is going to be like that, this is going to be a very exciting league. It's already had some really electric moments, so before we get on off, Yutao, any final words from you?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to be like, you know, an analyst for the second time, and well, I had a good time with you guys.
Thank you for being here, buddy. We do have a couple of shout outs, of course. Our guest analyst here, Yutao, incredible, coming in, giving us those insights. Really important, especially from a player as good as yourself. I really appreciate it. I know that for sure, and I know Kyle does as well. And that's where my second shout out is going to go. Thank you so much, Kyle, for being here and casting alongside me, buddy. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, it's always fun. Oh, I always love getting to cast across the pod. You definitely see some different things than you do in North America, so it's nice to kind of understand how different people view the game and the game state, the current meta, what the strong picks are, some of the better macro strategies. So it gives you a little bit more insight as, you know, kind of how the game's progressing in different regions.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'll have to come join you over on that Underdunk a couple of times. Just return the favour. And a huge thank you to our observers, Bina and Rosander, of course. We wouldn't be able to put on anything without our incredible observers capturing all of the action for us. And of course, our admin, Sam. Incredible effort from them as well, just to make sure that things run as smoothly as possible. And it wouldn't be, possible without our Spanish stream as well. We want to make sure that every single person gets as much of this action as they possibly can. So thank you so much to Kudo, Unite, and Antiporter for covering things over on the Spanish stream. I believe that's going to be it from us. Obviously, can't forget Shivam, the incredible effort that Shivam puts into making sure that we can put this stuff on. So a huge thank you to them. Kyle, any final words from yourself?
Ho-Oh's broken, guys. Ho-Oh's broken.
Facts. You heard it here first, chat. Hashtag Ho-Ho is broken. Kyle said it. So that's going to be it from us. Of course, we will continue this action. We've got plenty of weeks to bring you. We'll be here every single Saturday to bring you at least 4 games. And join me throughout the week over on my stream, Spartan_Tano, as I cover more of these offline games. And you'll be able to see as much action as you possibly can. Love you all lots. Have a good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Me and Utah are going to go get ourselves into like some sort of cold air because it is so hot here in the EU region.
Same.
Yeah, it's so hot.
Love you lots, guys. We'll catch you later. Bye.